Chapter 1102. Invasion of the Hundred Races, 2. The two old men who had emerged from the crack in space stared at the huge white beast fur floating before them as a sliver of amazement appeared in their eyes. One of them said, "I never thought that the great disturbance would actually come from this odd piece of beast fur. I wonder what mysteries hide within it." The other old man stared closely at the beast fur as he pondered. He said, "Weird. Why do I feel like this piece of beast fur is the same as the beast fur at the top layer of the treasury from our Shenxiao sect? Just the size is different." The two old men were great elders of the Shenxiao sect. Now that you mention it, it really does seem rather similar, but that doesn't matter. "We need to obtain it," said the other old man. He took a step forward and traversed close to 100 meters to reach the beast fur. At this moment, another space gate ripped open. Two bearded middle-aged men walked out in tight blue robes. A gleam of light immediately flashed through their eyes when they saw one of the Shenxiao sect great elders reach toward it. One of them immediately punched out from afar. The fist broke through the air and a vast energy shot towards the great elder like a dragon. The second great elder of the Shenxiao sect roared out. Just as he was about to do something, he was locked on by the vast presence from the other middle-aged man. The great elder who tried to take the beast fur understood the strength of the punch. He became stern and gave up on the beast fur, striking out with his palm with lightning speed to deal with the punch. Without an expected boom, the two energies collided mid-air and actually nullified each other. They both vanished. They were only several hundred meters above ground, and there was a medium-sized city that reached into the millions right below them. If they struck out with all they had as Saint Kings, the residual energy would definitely wreak havoc upon the city below. It would lead to hundreds of thousands, or even millions of deaths. Then the both of them would suffer the punishment of celestial decay. They needed to control their attacks when they were so close to a densely packed city. "People of the Mo Yuan clan, this beast fur was first discovered by our Shenxiao sect, so it is ours. Do you want to steal it from us?" A great elder from the Shenxiao sect called out. "You can cut the bullshit. I'm no kid that you can just trick. Do you really think that it's your Shenxiao sects just because you said so? I can say it's the Mo Yuan clans if that's the case," sneered the middle-aged man who had punched out. "People of the Shenxiao sect, this beast fur already belongs to the Mo Yuan clan. Please leave immediately. I don't wish to see our two organizations fall out with one another over something like this." The other middle-aged man from the Mo Yuan clan spoke as well. The two great elders of the Shenxiao sect became pale white when they heard those words. They furiously yelled out, "Mo Yuan clan, aren't you acting a little too haughty? Do you really think that our Shenxiao sect fears you?" On the surface, the 10 protector clans were the most powerful organizations on the continent and were responsible with guarding the continent, but they would often get into conflicts with one another below the surface. They would even fall out with one another sometimes. A middle-aged man sneered. The two of them were slightly stronger than the two great elders of the Shenxiao sect, so they obviously did not fear them. Immediately, one of them extended his hand to take the beast fur. "Don't you dare take something that belongs to the Shenxiao sect." How could the two great elders let the people of the Mo Yuan clan take something that belonged to them? They immediately worked together and became embroiled in a great battle with the people of the Mo Yuan clan. After clashing several times, the surrounding space began to violently pulse. Space gates suddenly appeared again and Saint Kings emerged from them. They either radiated with vast presences or seemed like ordinary people. Other than people from the 10 protector clans, many ancestors of ancient clans as well as a few people who belonged to no organizations appeared. The situation immediately became messy with their arrival. The people of the Shenxiao sect and Mo Yuan clan stopped fighting as well and stood about indifferently. "Ha ha ha, it sure is lively here. I never thought that so many renowned people would come. However, there's only one treasure, but so many of us. It'll be hard to distribute it," a Saint King from a protector clan laughed. "Humph, those who wish not to take part leave immediately. Some people have no need to take part in this," a bald old man coldly commanded. He glared at the weaker ancestors of ancient clans and those who were not part of any organizations. He acted extremely harsh. The weaker Saint Kings who did not belong to the protector clans immediately revealed horrible expressions when they heard his orders. However, they dared not to speak against the great elders of the protector clans even though they were furious, so a few of them immediately ripped open a space gate and left. With their departure, there were only 20-odd people left. Besides the people who belonged to the protector clans, There were a few experts who were relatively stronger and did not fear the protector clans. The bald old man raised an eyebrow complacently when he saw that he had scared away quite a few Saint Kings with a single sentence. He said, "Now, let's properly discuss how we will split this treasure." As soon as the bald man stopped talking, the space nearby began to violently tremble. A huge space gate suddenly formed and a tremendous presence leaked out from inside. It stunned all the experts of the 10 protector clans, and they failed to return to their senses for some time. 20 or 30 experts charged out of the space gate extremely quickly with surging presences. Every single one of them was a Saint King, and there was no lack of Saint Kings at great perfection. The group was extremely powerful. As soon as the people emerged from the space gate, vast amounts of energy flickered in the surroundings. They drew their weapons and began attacking all the human Saint Kings present while one of the Saint Kings at great perfection charged for the beast fur. He grabbed it before quickly throwing it into his space ring. "Shit, they're people of the 100 races." A great elder from a protector clan recognized who the people were. His facial expression drastically changed as he cried out. Without any hesitation, he immediately drew his saint weapon to face off against them. The remaining human Saint Kings all returned to their senses as well. Faced against such great foes, no one bothered with the beast fur anymore. All of them drew their saint weapons to face the enemy. They knew extremely well that against the experts of the 100 races, it would be fight of life or death. They would not show mercy just because they were members of the protector clans. There were a little more Saint Kings of the 100 races than the humans. Coupled with that fact that they had Saint Kings at great perfection leading them, the humans fell to a disadvantage as soon as they began fighting. No one dared to use everything they had. If the ripples of battle killed off several 100,000 or even millions of people, none of them could leave unscathed. As a result, there was no earth-shaking disturbances while the several dozen Saint Kings fought in the air. Only the space cracked and healed continuously. "How dare you? Do you think that your lives are too easy? In all these years, we've never attacked you out of our own accord. Yet you've begun invading our Tianyuan continent. People of the 100 races, are you declaring war on the Tianyuan continent?" The Saint Kings from the protector clans angrily swore as they fended off the 100 races. All of them used secret techniques to secretly communicate with their clans. "The item has been obtained. Don't waste time here, let's go." The Saint King at great perfection who had taken the beast fur coldly gave a command before swiftly retreating. He created a space gate in a region of stable space and left through it. The other experts of the 100 races did not get drawn into the battles either. They all knocked back their opponents with powerful strikes before quickly disappearing into the space gate. In the blink of an eye, all the Saint Kings of the 100 races that had appeared suddenly disappeared. It had been less than 20 seconds since they had arrived. The whole occurrence was extremely sudden. The human Saint Kings all floated there with sunken faces. Some of them even had residual blood at the corner of their mouths. The battle was very short, but a few of them had been injured. 100 races. How dare you invade our Tianyuan continent? We will not let this matter go so easily, the bald old man from a protector clan roared at the sky. A powerful killing intent radiated from him, tempting to destroy his surroundings. In ancient times, the humans of the Tianyuan continent really were not the opponents of the 100 races, but the era was different now. They inhabited the Tianyuan continent that was rich with resources while the 100 races lived on the rural wasteland continent. They were nowhere near overall strength of the Tianyuan continent. They were no longer as great as before. Another few space gates were suddenly ripped open. A few Saint Kings from protector clans had received the request for help, so they urgently hurried over. "What's happened?" A Saint King that had just arrived asked with a deep voice. "It's the 100 races. A great group of them suddenly invaded our continent and stole the treasure." A similar occurrence happened in the sky above the ancient clan. One of the 2 beast furs on the continent was in the medium-sized city while the other one was kept by an ancient clan. The 2 beast furs had drawn the attention of many experts on the continent, but they were all taken in the end by the experts of the 100 races who had appeared suddenly. For some time, the invasion of the 100 races and their action of taking the beast furs caused much irritation to the protector clans and peak-level experts. They swore that they would seek an explanation over this matter. However, as the members of the protector clans discussed the matter of the 100 races, the other 6 parties had already gathered outside the Shenshao sect, the Patian sect, the Yangji sect, the Tyrant's Blade School, the Heaven's Incense School, and the Moyuan clan of the 10 protector clans. Although the places where the 10 protector clans resided were extremely well hidden, the clans' residences were not secret to the experts of the 100 races. Chapter 1103, Invasion of the 100 Races, 3. Use the Forbidden Artifact. We need to break into the space of the protector clans as soon as possible and then use the Forbidden Artifact to charge through the obstacles so we can get the beast fur. All the leaders of the 6 parties gave out orders, giving the order to attack at the same time. A simple great saber stood outside the independent space of the Xueqi sect. It radiated an extremely forceful presence. The saber was 100 meters long and brightly lit up the surrounding hundreds of meters. The weapon stood dead straight with its hilt pointed at the sky while the tip pointed down into the earth. A destructive energy rippled in the surroundings, causing the surroundings to violently tremble. Space distorted and became a mess as countless rocks nearby were reduced to dust. The Saint Kings at great perfection from the 100 races stood before the saber as they controlled it. They were very stern. The might of the Forbidden Artifact was just too great. Even when the two of them worked together, they found it rather difficult to control. Ha! The 2 Saint Kings roared at the sky in an earth-shaking manner and a 5-meter-thick ray of light shot from the saber. It struck the space before them with lightning-like speed. The space there began to violently tremble. A huge crack in space appeared. What was revealed was not the pitch-black depths of the universe, but a beautiful, smaller world. The independent space inhabited by the Xueqi sect was punctured by the Forbidden Artifact, causing the entire place to violently jolt. However, before the people of the Xueqi sect could understand what was going on, the group of experts from the 100 races charged in from outside. They used the Forbidden Artifact to pave a path, killing whoever got in the way. They killed their way into the Xueqi sect. Dong! The heavy sound of a bell rang from a divine hall within the sect. It was extremely loud and hurried and vaguely possessed the intention of going to war. It had been countless years since this bell had last rang. It was not controlled by people. It was automatic, and it would only ring when the Xueqi sect faced the invasion of enemies. In the most central divine hall of the sect, a few white-robed great elders walked out in surprise. They called out, "There, enemies invading." All disciples faced the enemies immediately. As soon as they said that, the great elders saw 30 Saint Kings rushing over with a forbidden artifact. It's the members of the 100 races. The 100 races has invaded our Xueqi sect, and they've actually brought a forbidden artifact from the ancient times. The great elders' expressions drastically, no longer able to remain as composed as before. Use the Emperor armament in the forbidden grounds quickly and activate the encirclement of the 18 holes. A great elder called out. Without any hesitation, he shot off toward the forbidden grounds as fast as he could while the other great elders followed behind him. He wants to go activate the Emperor armament. Stop him. A cry rang out among the people of the 100 races. Immediately, a few of them broke from the group and pursued with lightning speed. However, this was still the lair of the Protector clan. There were many hidden dangers. The experts were suddenly stopped by a powerful sword chi that shot into the air, allowing the great elders to enter the forbidden ground successfully. We'll stop them from controlling the Emperor armament and keep them busy for as long as we can. A pursuing Saint King of the 100 races called out and charged into the forbidden grounds. He wanted to stop the Xueqi sect great elders from activating the Emperor armament. Very soon, violent ripples of battle erupted in the forbidden grounds near the back of the independent space. The experts of the 100 races began fighting against the great elders in the forbidden grounds. On the other side, 2 Saint Kings at great perfection paved a path with the forbidden artifact. They lead a group of people as they hurried toward the divine hall in the center of the sect. During that time, saint rulers of the Xueqi sect continuously flew up without any regard for themselves. They wanted to stop the advance of the 100 races, but they were all heavily injured without any exceptions. Most of their lives ended up dangling on a fine thread while some of them were even killed off. After all, the people who attacked the Protector clans this time were all the experts of the Wasteland continent. No matter how powerful the Protector clans were, it was difficult to fend off all the Saint Kings of the 100 races. Now was especially the case. 3 Saint Kings of the Xueqi sect had yet to return because of the beast furs, so there was only 4 experts who remained in the clan. Faced against enemies that outnumbered them several times over, they were not their opponents. Even in their own lair, as a Protector clan, it was difficult for them to repel the attack. Boom! The entire space violently shook as violent energy shot into the sky, almost destroying the independent space. The group of Saint Kings had already begun attacking the Divine Hall with their powerful forbidden artifact. They had found out that the beast fur was stored in the Divine Hall long ago. The power of a forbidden artifact was enough to take on an emperor armament from a protector clan. The strike was like a Saint Emperor's attack, creating a huge, thick crack along the Divine Hall of the Xueqi sect. At this moment, a great pressure forcefully pressed down from the sky. 18 mountainous divine halls appeared in empty space and began to fall with extremely vast ripples of energy and terrifying pressures. Each and every single divine hall was made by a Saint Emperor. They were left behind by the Saint Emperor ancestors of the Xueqi sect, creating an extremely powerful defensive formation to protect the Xueqi sect. The 18 divine halls shined with a blinding light as the divine hall's energy circulated within them. The light formed an extremely obscure connection between all the divine hall, joining all 18 as one and strengthening their defense. It's the Xueqi sect's encirclement of the 18 halls. This is their strongest defense, so don't get caught in it. Use the forbidden artifact to quickly smash through the encirclement. An old man who was controlling the forbidden artifact growled. Afterward, he assisted the other experts to send the forbidden artifact straight at the 18 divine halls in the sky. They struck out as hard as they could. The 100-meter-long saber fell as it emanated a dazzling light. It struck the 18 divine halls with an unstoppable force, but when they collided, no sound was produced at all. The might of the saber turned out to be like a rock thrown into the sea, absorbed by the 18 divine halls. A single forbidden artifact isn't enough to break through the defense. Everyone pour their strength and activate the second forbidden artifact. One of the people in control of the first forbidden artifact called out. Immediately, a vast, violent energy rippled in the surroundings. The second forbidden artifact was activated by the people of the 100 races. It was a pitch-black warhammer, controlled by a dwarven Saint King and assisted by 3 other people. The black warhammer was not big. In fact, it could be described as exquisite. It was only 30 centimeters long, but it radiated with a presence that did not match up to its size at all. It turned into a black streak of light as it shot into the sky. The hammer and saber worked together, gathering the force of 2 forbidden artifacts to strike the 18 divine halls together. Finally, the amount of energy that the divine halls could absorb was reached, and with a rumble, all the divine halls violently shook. Tiny cracks appeared on each divine hall. However, since the 18 divine halls shared their power, the cracks healed very quickly. The encirclement of the 18 halls continued to press down. Its tremendous might caused the space below to twist, as if it were about to shatter. Even Saint Emperors will struggle to break free once caught in the encirclement of the 18 halls. We need to use the forbidden artifacts to keep it at bay and prevent them from descending. Everyone else enter the divine hall of the Protector clan and seize the beast fur, ordered an expert among the 100 races. The remaining people immediately left the group. One of them drew the third forbidden artifact, striking the central divine hall under the support of several people. He smashed through the outer walls and made it to the interior. Almost the moment they stepped in, the various powerful formations were activated within the divine hall. Although they could kill off Saint Kings, they were nothing before the forbidden artifacts of the 100 races. A violent rumble rang out from the back of the independent space as a mountain turned to dust in an instant. The several Saint Kings that had gone over to keep the great elders busy all flew back as they vomited blood. At the same time, an extremely terrifying ripple of energy appeared there. Shit, the Emperor armament has been awoken. Everyone else head over. We need to stop it from fully awakening with everything we have. We don't have a fourth forbidden artifact, said an expert of the 100 races. He was extremely serious. At that moment, all the experts of the 100 races worked extremely well together. The experts that had entered the divine hall stepped out without saying anything else and rushed over to where the Emperor armament was. Only the experts controlling the forbidden artifact stayed behind to break through the obstructions of the divine hall and to retrieve the beast fur. An ancient, 30-odd-meter-long sword stood in the forbidden grounds of the Xueqi sect. Layers of inscriptions flashed in the surroundings, glowing with a blinding light. In the surroundings, the 4 great elders of the Xueqi sect sat with their legs crossed and eyes closed. 2 of them wore tattered clothes with blood at the corner of their lips while the other 2 were also pale. They were all rather injured. A hazy glow enveloped the 4 of them from the ancient sword. The light seemed like nothing, but it contained an unimaginable strength. It could repel any foreign attacks while the 4 of them activated the ancient sword. Rise! Suddenly, The four great elders all called out in unison. They suddenly pressed their hands against the formations on the ground and copious amounts of energy unceasingly poured out, causing the inscriptions to become blinding. The Emperor armament began to violently tremble as a frighteningly vast energy pulsed around it. Afterward, the Emperor armament began to slowly rise out of the earth. The vast pressure became denser and more powerful. It was like a primordial beast slowly waking up from its slumber. Chapter 1104. Power of an Emperor Armament, God damn it. The power of the Protector clan's Emperor armament seems much more powerful than in the records. We need to suppress the Emperor armament quickly. We can't let it be drawn from the ground. A person cried out from afar, and the group that had separated from the central divine hall had arrived. They all arrived above the ancient sword, striking at the sword's hilt in unison to prevent the sword from being drawn. The sword slowly sank by a little. With that, the four great elders of the Xueqi sect looked at each other before spitting out a mouthful of essence blood at the Emperor armament, which led to an even more violent eruption of the Emperor armament's energy, and it stopped sinking. It began to be pulled out bit by bit once more, but it was much slower than before. 20 experts of the 100 races called out together as they used everything they had to suppress the Emperor armament. However, the weapon's power had far exceeded their imaginations, so even with all of them, they could not prevent the Emperor armament from being drawn. God damn it, put some strength into it, the Saint Kings of the 100 races all yelled out furiously. They all knew that the moment the sword's true powers erupted would be it was drawn. However, they could not stop it even when they used everything within them. All they could do was delay it by some time. The space of the Protector clan began to tremble more and more violently. Great thick cracks littered the space around, slicing the space into a bunch of shapes. The independent space of the Xueqi sect was approaching its limits while the world gate had been opened long ago. Many people hurriedly fled through it. Booms constantly rang out as the two forbidden artifacts fended off the encirclement of the 18 halls. The forbidden artifacts constantly struck out, preventing the 18 halls from descending while the third forbidden artifact continuously worked its way through all the obstacles in the central divine hall, charging toward the location of the beast fur. The important divine hall that held all the power had already been reduced to a mess after standing for countless years in the Xueqi sect. The four elders did everything they could to draw the Emperor armament in the forbidden groans. 20 Saint Kings levitated above it, suppressing it together, but all they could do was slow it down from being drawn. As the Emperor armament was slowly drawn out of the ground, the sword tip grew closer and closer to the surface of the earth. The experts of the 100 races could only panic even more with the current situation. The Emperor armament's too powerful. We can't last much longer. Hurry up! One of the people suppressing the Emperor armament yelled out. It was very loud and was heard by those who controlled the forbidden artifact in the central divine hall. The experts in the divine hall had already reached the top floor with their third forbidden artifact. They stopped before a heavy stone door, and above the stone door was a simple word, carved deeply, treasury. The beast fur is in there. Let's use the forbidden artifact to quickly break through this door, called out a Saint King. Then, all of them pooled their strength together to constantly strike the door with a weapon. However, the door was extremely tough, and only a tiny crack appeared after 3 attacks from the forbidden artifact. Don't stop! We need to give everything we have and use all the power in the forbidden artifact, one of them yelled out. Immediately, he poured whatever strength he had left into the forbidden artifact. Under the desperate push from the great elders, the ancient sword was finally drawn from the ground against the resistance of 20 Saint Kings. Its tip was clearly revealed under the sunlight, and immediately, a boundless presence gushed forth. All the Saint Kings of the 100 races felt their hearts tighten. The 4 great elders continuously formed hand seals, using a secret technique to control the Emperor armament. A terrifying ripple of energy immediately erupted from the Emperor armament, knocking away all the Saint Kings above it. Afterward, the Emperor armament made half a turn in the air, causing its hilt to face the ground. The 4 great elders just happened to be standing below the hilt. Experts of the 100 races, I'll make you pay a good price for invading our Xueqi sect. A great elder furiously roared out. The 4 of them controlled the Emperor armament together as they swung it toward the 20 Saint Kings with a devastating might. The Emperor armament was much more powerful than the forbidden artifacts. With a single stroke, space was immediately annihilated, and the whole place began to crumble. The independent space could no longer withstand the attack. The four great elders dismissed all other thoughts. All they wanted to do was slaughter all the experts of the 100 races to wash away the disgrace. The 20 Saint Kings' expressions all drastically. They were frightened by the presence of the Emperor armament as an invisible and mysterious force trapped them. Their movements became sluggish, as if they were stuck in mud. Do not disperse, everyone. Gather together and use your strongest attack to repel the Emperor armament, or we're all dead, a member of the 100 races yelled out. The surrounding energy began to surge and a 100-meter-tall giant appeared behind him. The figure was covered with muscles, filled with explosive force. This was a ruler of the giants. He was renowned and was once an extremely terrifying Saint Emperor, supreme among the giants. He was an avatar conjured by a giant through a secret technique. At the same time, another 100-meter-tall avatar appeared. They flew high up into the air and fell in 18 different locations. Their powers were connected and enforced one another, so they were one whole unit, forcefully stabilizing the independent space. They stopped the space from collapsing any further. The second forbidden artifact was freed up since the 18 divine halls stopped attacking. Now 2 forbidden artifacts could fend off the Emperor armament. They were embroiled in a tough struggle where they were equally matched. The surrounding space became extremely tough with the protection of the 18 divine hall, forcefully receiving the terrifying residual energy from the battle between the 3 weapons. At this moment, 3 loud whistles shot through the air. The 3 great elders had returned. They shot past the light barrier from the Emperor armament and fused their strength with the other 4, resulting in 7 people controlling the Emperor armament. Even the great elders had no idea just how powerful their Emperor armament was, since even when they all worked together, they could not utilize its full power. However, the Emperor armament would be able to display greater power with more people controlling it. The Emperor armament's presence immediately skyrocketed with the additional 3 great elders. It suppressed the 2 forbidden artifacts. We need to endure it. They will suffer great backlashes from using the Emperor armament, so they can't last for very long, explained a Saint King of the 100 races. They knew the weaknesses of the Protector clan's Emperor armaments extremely well. The power of the Emperor armament far exceeds our expectations. If I had known earlier, I would have brought the War God Hall. A Hall Elder of the War God Hall regretfully lamented. And the Elven God Tree. If we had brought the Elven God Tree, we could have bound the Emperor armament and prevented it from displaying such great power. An Elven expert gnashed his teeth. And the Heaven's Guard personally forged by our dwarven ancestor. Even Saint Emperors can't smash through the shield. If it was here, we might have been able to block the Emperor armament, said a dwarven expert. In ancient times, the 100 races was far more powerful than the humans. Even after losing a large number of experts from the invasion of the magical beasts, they were still able to beat the humans into constant retreat. If it were not for Mo Tianyun, the Tianyuan continent would have switched owners long ago. Their former strength was obvious, so they had quite a few treasures that had been passed down from that age. They had only brought offensive forbidden artifacts this time, not a single defensive one at all. Chapter 1105. Founding ancestor of the Tyrant's Blade School. At this moment, the experts in the Central Divine Hall charged out. They yelled out, "The items with us! All right, leave immediately." A Hall Elder of the War God Hall immediately ordered a retreat, and they gathered together soon after. They used the 3 forbidden artifact to cover themselves from the Emperor armament so everyone could leave. The Saint Kings of the 100 races made it out of the independent space inhabited by the Yongji sect and immediately ripped open a space gate to leave. The great elders did not want to let them go so easily, so they pursued them and controlled the Emperor armament. However, they were unable to stop them. The burly middle-aged man, Gue Hai Yi Dao, sat boldly atop the wave-breaking blade within the forbidden grounds of the Tyrant's Blade School. With his eyes closed, the pure energy hidden within the Emperor armament flowed unceasingly into him. Gue Hai Yi Dao had been absorbing the energy within the Emperor armament since he had returned, so he improved extremely quickly. He had already reached the 3rd heavenly layer of Saint King, which was a stunning rate. Suddenly, Gue Hai Yi Dao snapped open his eyes. His gaze seemed to be able to pierce space, to be able to see the world outside. His eyes flickered with visible sparks the moment he had opened them. Although Gue Hai Yi Dao was only at the 3rd heavenly layer, he carried an unfathomable feeling about him. Suddenly, the world inhabited by the Tyrant's Blade School began to violently tremble. A huge spatial crack appeared as the independent space was ripped open by a supreme force. A group of 100 races Saint Kings charged in with a forbidden artifact. The bell of the Protector clan reverberated loudly through the entire clan. The whole Protector clan had become especially alert after Gui Hai Idao's return. They were afraid that the news would break out before their founding ancestor had fully recovered his strength and, hence, lead to the attack of enemies. As soon as everyone heard the bell, they gathered their focus and emerged from their dwellings at the same time. Even a few experts in seclusion immediately came out. The great elders in the central divine hall all walked out sternly. Their faces changed drastically when they noticed the identities of the invaders. They cried out, "Shit! It's the 100 races. They must have known that our founding ancestor has come back. They must want to eliminate our ancestor before he has fully recovered. I never thought that the 100 races would be so well informed. It must be because of the other Protector clans. They don't want our ancestor to recover and thus surpass them. We need to use everything we've been storing up and protect the ancestor no matter what. We'd rather die than have our ancestor be threatened." The great elders revealed their thoughts as determination flooded their eyes. At that moment, all of them had stopped considering their own lives. The invading Saint Kings used a forbidden artifact to pave a path toward the central divine hall. The 6 great elders all took control of a divine hall, flying threateningly toward the invaders. The great elders could not just charge up in a desperate struggle against so many Saint Kings. All they could do was use the resources of the Protector clan. The 6 divine halls all became 1,000 meters long, standing fearlessly like a mountain in front of the Saint Kings that charged over. Use the forbidden artifacts to break through their divine halls. An expert yelled out. Immediately, another 3 forbidden artifacts were activated. This party had brought 4 in total. Although the forbidden artifacts were not as powerful as the Emperor armaments of the Protector clans, they were still weapons of former Saint Emperors that had been passed down since ancient times. Each forbidden artifact was controlled by 2 to 5 Saint Kings, and every time one of them struck out, the attack was no weaker than a Saint Emperor's attack. Boom! With a deafening sound, the 4 forbidden artifacts viciously landed on 4 divine halls. Rock was thrown into the air and a huge crack appeared on the tough divine halls. "We don't have much time, so we need to move fast. Use the 4 forbidden artifacts together to attack a single divine hall and destroy one of them," ordered an expert who controlled a forbidden artifact. The 3 forbidden artifacts all changed their targets. At that moment, the 4 weapons all targeted a single divine hall and struck out as hard as they could. With a boom, the divine hall was shattered into pieces. Fragments were launched into the sky, and the great elder within it shot toward a nearby divine hall. However, before the great elder could approach the divine hall, a vast presence locked onto him. It caused the space around him to freeze at that moment. A Saint King of the 100 races much more powerful than him had begun attacking him, heavily injuring him in just a few strikes. At the same time, the 4 forbidden artifacts worked together again. A powerful ripple of energy shot toward the second divine hall. A single forbidden artifact could produce attacks no weaker than a Saint Emperor, so when the 4 weapons attacked together, their power multiplied. Regular divine halls could not withstand a single attack. At this moment, an extremely powerful blade chi appeared in the forbidden grounds of the Protector clan. A 30-meter-long machete flew out with lightning speed, receiving the attacks from the 4 forbidden artifacts. The machete and 4 forbidden artifacts clashed in the air, producing a deafening boom. Terrifying ripples of energy spread from high up, sweeping in all directions in the form of a storm. They ripped through space, creating a huge space crack and causing the entire realm to tremble. It actually began to collapse. Blocked by the machete, the 4 forbidden artifacts flew back to the space above their controllers. The machete was stabbed into the ground with its tip down. It radiated with a supreme presence, as if it was the king of the world. Not only did the machete block the 4 forbidden artifacts and protect a divine hall, it deterred all the Saint Kings as well. That's the Emperor armament of the Protector clan. No, why is the power so much more powerful than what was mentioned in the records? A Saint King hoarsely asked as he stared at the machete. The records have mentioned that there needs to be several Saint Kings using a secret technique together to utilize the Emperor armament. They need to go through quite a long process as well, so the way it has appeared is completely different from the records, said a hall elder. Doubt filled him inside. The 5 divine halls controlled by the great elders levitated high in the sky. The great elders appeared at the main entrance of the divine halls as they sternly stared at the wave-breaking blade. Worry filled all of them. They knew that their founding ancestor, who had been cultivating in the forbidden grounds, had struck out. However, he had yet to fully recover his strength, so how could he be an opponent of the 100 races? This made the great elders worry for their founding ancestor's safety. The space there constantly trembled as pitch-black cracks crisscrossed in the sky. The space was collapsing. At this moment, a figure emerged from the forbidden grounds. He walked in the air without any presence, just like an ordinary person, but every step of his would cover 1,000 meters. He moved steadily. He was Xueqi Dao. Under the attention of all the invading Saint Kings, he calmly emerged before sitting down on the hilt of the Emperor armament. He calmly gazed past the invaders at ease, as if they were nothing important. Afterward, he pointed a finger at the sky and 18 divine halls immediately appeared out of nowhere. Each one radiated with a vast pressure. They connected with one another and shared their powers, as if they were just one. They then fused into the space at 18 different locations, rapidly stopping the collapse of the space, and the parts that had crumbled slowly healed back together. All the invaders became stern. Although Xueqi Dao's presence was not very powerful, he possessed a feeling where he was in control of everything. It made them astounded, oddly enough. This was because even Saint Emperors could not give off this feeling. "Who are you?" a Saint King asked with a deep voice. He glared at Xueqi Dao while the great elders who controlled the divine halls were ignored by everyone. "I am Xueqi Dao," he said with an extremely calm voice, but the invaders felt an unfathomable feeling below this calm surface. Even the Saint Kings at great perfection of the Protector clans would pale if they had to face 4 forbidden artifacts and so many Saint Kings. It just did not make sense why Xueqi Dao could remain so calm. "It doesn't matter who he is. Let's do it together. We need to retrieve the item no matter how severe the consequences are," yelled a Saint King controlling a forbidden artifact. He immediately directed a slash toward Xueqi Dao that radiated with a terrifying energy. At the same time, the 3 other forbidden artifacts struck out as well. They all attacked the sitting Xueqi Dao from different directions with devastating power. Xueqi Dao did not falter. He suddenly levitated while the 30-meter-long wave-breaking blade shrank to 1.5 meters long and rested in his hand. At that moment, his entire presence changed. A surging blade chi radiated from him, and he no longer seemed ordinary. Instead, he seemed more like a drawn blade. His great presence caused the sky to shake and the terrifying blade chi crisscrossed the empty space. He helplessly shook his head and gently said, "Wave-breaking blade, after so many years, so many Emperor armaments have fused with you. Your power far exceeds regular Emperor armaments now, so erupt. Show them your power." A gleam of light flashed through Xueqi Dao's eyes, and the next moment, an indescribably vast power erupted from within the wave-breaking blade. It immediately disrupted the stalemate with the 4 forbidden artifacts, jolting them far off into the distance. They collided into 4 mountains in the distance, turning them into dust. The terrifying energy continued to spread toward the people in control. They were all knocked back as well and were unable to stabilize themselves. A sharp blade chi was also present in the ripple of energy. It passed through their bodies and heavily wounded them all. All the experts spat blood at the sky as they became sheet white. They had never been so shocked in their lives. 30 Saint Kings with plenty at great perfection, coupled with 4 forbidden artifacts, were actually not enough to deal with the Emperor armament of a Protector clan. This was unbelievable. Impossible. This is impossible. This is definitely impossible. Emperor armaments of Protector clans cannot be this powerful, a hall elder cried out. He was badly shaken. Disbelief was spelled out on his face. He had studied the Emperor armaments of the 10 Protector clans in the records of the War God Hall, so he had an extremely deep understanding in regards to their strength. That's only because the people who control the Emperor armament are others and not the owner. They obviously can't utilize the true power of the Emperor armament. Even Saint Emperors can't. Xueqi Dao said indifferently as he stood with his arms crossed. The wave-breaking blade had shrunk once more and had been stabbed into the ground beside him. It radiated with a supreme presence. The people of the 100 races did not understand what Xueqi Dao meant. They refused to believe him to be the founding ancestor of the Tyrant's Blade School, and the true owner of the Emperor armament. Retreat! A Saint King at great perfection waved his hand and decisively retreated. The other experts of the 100 Races dared not to stick around. They all glanced at the weapon by Xueqi Dao with lingering fear before all leaving. They knew that their opponent had shown mercy, or he could have easily killed off all of them. The invaders swiftly retreated, completely vanishing in the blink of an eye. All that was left was a huge mess, evidence of what had happened before. Founding ancestor, the 100 Races have actually tried to invade our protector clan. They've gone too far, so why not make them stay? Founding ancestor, why not kill off all of them? If they all die, it'll be a great loss for the 100 Races. The great elders all arrived beside Xueqi Dao and asked him courteously after the invaders had retreated. They were all confused, and at the same time, they were filled with shock. They have never imagined that their founding ancestor would be so terrifying before he had even recovered his strength. Xueqi Dao gently shook his head and said, "The 100 Races aren't as simple as you think they are. The ones who support them are very powerful, such that we cannot afford to provoke them. Remember to be careful in the future and avoid taking the 100 Races on as enemies." The great elders became even more doubtful with that explanation. One of them said, "Founding ancestor, the 10 protector clans along with Mercenary City are the most powerful organizations on the Tianyuan continent. The Beast God continent has their 3 Saint Emperors and the Beast God Hall, but that doesn't mean we can't match up to them. The Sea Race only guards their own territory and never fights with us. Just don't understand what exactly supports the 100 Races that we need to fear. It's better for you to not know some things. If you do want to know, I will tell you if you surpass Saint Emperor and reach the Origin Realm." With that, Xueqi Dao returned to the Forbidden Grounds with the wave-breaking blade, leaving the great elders standing there puzzled. The Yangji sect and the Tyrant's Blade School were not the only protector clans to suffer attacks from the 100 Races. There were also the Shenshao sect, the Patian sect, the Heaven's Incense School, and the Mayuan clan. However, the 100 Races managed to get to all the other central divine halls except for the Tyrant's Blade School, who managed to repel them. Their beast furs were stolen, and they suffered great losses. The great elders of the Yangji sect and Patian sect all suffered intense backlashes, which they struggled to recover from due to activating their emperor armaments. The great elders of the Shenshao sect, Heaven's Incense School, and Mayuan clan were all stopped by the invaders before they could get to their forbidden grounds, so they could only defend using divine halls. In the end, the invading Saint Kings smashed through several divine halls where quite a few great elders dangled in danger. The Saint Kings in danger used secret techniques to flee into the encirclement of the 18 halls in the end. Chapter 1107. Attacking Mercenary City. The 8 parties from the 100 Races attacked 6 protector clans and managed to retrieve 5 beast furs from them as well as the 2 that had been scattered across the continent. They managed to take back 7 pieces in total. After that, the 8 parties still were not satisfied. They gathered once more outside Mercenary City, using the forbidden artifacts to attack the city from above. Each party possessed 2 to 4 forbidden artifacts, so over 20 of them ravaged Mercenary City. The terrifying ripples of energy caused the earth to shake and the space to collapse. Mercenary City was immediately closed off from the attack of outsiders. Grand Elder Tianjian personally led a group of elders to the city from their independent space, but when they saw over 200 Saint Kings outside the barrier, they all became extremely stern. This was almost all the Saint Kings of the 100 Races. Mercenary City was indeed very powerful since it was the only organization that could rival the 10 protector clans. However, it would have been a futile attempt if they tried to repel all the Saint Kings of the 100 Races just by themselves. Mercenary City was not in possession of a powerful emperor armament like the 10 protector clans. All they had was a divine hall with offensive capabilities from Mo Tianyun, but it could only be piloted by Saint Emperors. The attack from the 100 Races with more than 20 forbidden artifacts shocked all the upper echelon of Mercenary City. All their known elders were mobilized. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th elders were all Saint Kings of the 8th or 9th heavenly layer, while the 6th, 7th, and 8th elders were all Saint Kings as well. The weakest one of them was at the 5th heavenly layer. All known Saint King elders of Mercenary City had appeared at that moment, sternly staring at the sky. At the same time, 6 disheveled beggar-like old men in hemp clothing emerged from a space gate from an extremely desolate independent space. Their messy hair covered their faces, so their appearances could not be seen clearly at all. Only a few deep wrinkles were exposed vaguely. Many elders of Mercenary City courteously glanced at the 6 beggar-like old men. They too were elders of Mercenary City, but they rarely ever appeared before people and never interfered with any matters of the city. They always remained secluded in an independent space, which was why almost no one knew about their existence. It's Elder Xueqi and the others. I never thought they'd still be alive. I heard the 6 elders were people who came from the same era as Grand Elder Tianjian and that they're even older than the Grand Elder. They're all at great perfection and are only alive now because they've extended their lives by 200 years through the use of 10,000-year-old heavenly resources. However, they only have 100 years left, explained an elderly Saint King elder. Nowadays, it was extremely difficult to reach Saint Emperor. The various Saint Emperors were gradually whittled down, with the 10 Protector clans and Mercenary City experiencing the decline the most. They had always had Saint Emperors since the ancient times where a new Saint Emperor would be born immediately after another had passed away. However, it had already been over 10,000 years since a Saint Emperor had appeared for the 10 Protector clans and Mercenary City. The only Saint Emperor was the Path Lord of Carnal Desires, an exile of the Pure Heart Pavilion. He had only reached Saint Emperor after creating his Path of Carnal Desires. As a result, Saint Kings at great perfection were almost invincible in the present day that lacked Saint Emperors. Including Tianjian, 7 Saint Kings at great perfection had appeared this time. This hidden strength was far greater than any Protector clan. The 6 beggar-like Saint Kings stood beside each other. They did not radiate any presences, as if they were fused with the surroundings. They seemed to be like a world of their own where they reigned supreme. A heavy pressure would radiate from them unconsciously. Their eyes shined like torches. Although they all seemed ancient, they were brimming with energy. Their sharp gazes were like swords, causing the space before them to slightly twist. Has the 100 races gone crazy to attack our mercenary city? Looks like the 100 races find their days too peaceful. We can't let them do this. Summon all the experts immediately and send them to suppress the 100 races. A few Saint Ruler elders of Mercenary City all righteously discussed the situation. They were utterly furious. The Saint Kings of Mercenary City all silently stared at the 100 races as they attacked the barrier, but a cold light flickered in their eyes. The 100 races had sent over 200 experts this time, and they were all Saint Kings. They had even brought over 20 forbidden artifacts. This was not something the dozen or so Saint Kings of Mercenary City could repel. All they could do was use what had been passed down from ancient times. They can't break through the barrier. Even Saint Emperors can't conquer Mercenary City. Immediately contact the 10 Protector clans, the ancient clans, and the people of the 3 great empires. The experts of the 100 races have boldly invaded, so get them to provide reinforcements immediately. We need to defend our continent's dignity, Tianjian said. He was extremely composed. Yes, Grand Elder. The news of the 100 races invasion was sent to the Protector clans, ancient clans, and 3 great empires through secret techniques, which immediately lead to a huge disturbance. The 4 Protector clans that had not been attacked, the Yuan sect, the Heartless School, the Chongyang clan, and the Pure Heart Pavilion, sent all their experts, directly ripping open space gates to provide reinforcements. The 5 Protector clans that had had their beast furs stolen were even more straightforward. They all dragged their injured bodies over to Mercenary City with their Emperor armaments, swearing to fight the 100 races to the death. After breaking into their central divine halls, not only did the 100 races take the beast furs, they even ransacked them, robbing them of a large amount of treasure. They suffered an extremely severe loss. The ancient clans and 3 great empires all sent Saint Kings for reinforcement. Only the people from the Tyrant's Blade School did not appear. At the same time, the barrier of Mercenary City displayed its might as well. It began to glow brighter than usual. It did not begin to attack the invaders, but instead rebounded all the attacks that landed on it. The forbidden artifacts were treasures passed down from ancient times. They were the weapons of former Saint Emperors, and they were so powerful that several Saint Kings were needed to control just one. Each weapon could use attacks at the level of Saint Emperors, so a rebound from the barrier was equivalent to the 100 races sustaining the attacks from over 20 Saint Emperors. The Saint Kings of the 100 races were shocked and immediately used their forbidden artifacts to block the rebounding attacks. The attacks threw them into confusion where the weaker people sustained rather heavy wounds from the violent ripples of battle. We can't conquer Mercenary City. Retreat. An expert of the 100 races gave a decisive order. All the reinforcements had arrived, so they knew that if they stayed any longer, there would be a vicious battle. The casualties would be innumerable. All the experts of the 100 races did not become too absorbed in battle. Before the reinforcements could completely encircle them, they ripped open space gates and left. The 100 races had retreated out of the Tianyuan continent, but the disturbance they had caused this time was undoubtedly gigantic. Although it did not affect the medium or low-level cultivators, it shocked all the high-level experts. The 5 protector clans that had been ransacked were impacted and fell into a fury. Their anger and killing intent reached an utmost limit, swearing to mobilize the entire continent to wipe out the 100 races. Soon afterward, representatives of all the major organizations on the continent held a meeting that had not occurred in several tens of thousands of years. They sternly discussed the invasion of the 100 races, and over half of them suggested gathering all of the continent's power to devastate the 100 races and wash away their shame. Only a few people suggested that everyone should consider the big picture and not mobilize everyone. It led to an extremely intense argument between both sides. In the end, a great elder from the Tyrant's Blade School came to Mercenary City and expressed that their protector clan would not be taking part in the expedition. He also explained that although the 100 races had weakened now, their heritage was extremely rich and no weaker than the Tianyuan continent. Once they invaded the 100 races, the overall strength of the continent would suffer and provide the Beast God continent with an opportunity. A great elder of the Pure Heart Pavilion followed up. The invasion of the 100 races this time was only to take back some items. They did not do anything overly outrageous, so why mobilize so many people? Do you really want a war between the two continents and make blood flow like rivers? Do you really only intend to stop after you see a sea of corpses? Afterward, a few representatives expressed their disagreement as well. They all had their reasons, which all considered the big picture. The Tianyuan continent's conquest of the 100 races came to an end. They failed to get everyone to agree. There was no chance of victory if just half the continent, or even less than that, went ahead to conquer the 100 races. The 100 races had settled down on the wasteland continent for so long. They could be described as deeply rooted and rich in heritage. Each race had their own supreme, forbidden artifacts. They had only brought a portion of them this time. Soon after, a secret letter arrived in the hands of each representative, shocking them all. After attacking Mercenary City, the experts of the 100 races actually attacked the Beast God Hall on the Beast God continent. All 3 magical beast saint emperors emerged, while the Tiger Emperor Lanky Rose faced the attacks from 3 different forbidden artifacts and was thus heavily injured. The several dozen experts cultivating within the hall all came out to fend off the enemies, and more than 10 of them were slain by the forbidden artifacts. There were even more who were injured. This battle included saint emperors. Over 200 saint kings of the 100 races fought an extremely intense battle with the various experts of the Beast God Hall, to the point where the earth cracked and the sky dimmed. Half the continent quaked, kicking up tsunamis that reached into the skies. All the experts cultivating outside could sense the heart-trembling might. However, the 100 races still failed to get into the Beast God Hall in the end. The Beast God Hall was no ordinary divine hall. It was left behind by the winged tiger god, and it was so tough that even saint emperors could not damage it. The invaders failed to even scratch the divine hall after striking it with the combined force of all the forbidden artifacts, and they lost over a dozen experts in the end, so they could only helplessly retreat. The invasion of the Beast God continent immediately shocked the upper echelons of the Tianyuan continent. No one had ever thought that the 100 races would be so reckless. First, they attacked the lairs of the protector clans in Mercenary City, and then they invaded the Beast God continent. Were they seeking death? The Beast God continent was something that the Tianyuan continent feared very much. They had a total of 3 saint emperors. Was there any force daring enough to take them on? Chapter 1108. Jian Chen's worries. Not only did the large-scale invasion of the 100 races shake up the Tianyuan continent, even the Beast God continent was thrown astir. The invasions caused a huge disturbance. In the center of the Beast God continent, a radius of several hundred kilometers had disappeared into a huge ditch with the Beast God Hall as its center. The lapping of waves could vaguely be heard from the pitch-black ditch as the Beast God Hall levitated at the center. It used to be an ancient forest filled with great trees, but it had been reduced to a huge ditch during the battle between the Beast God Hall and the experts of the 100 Races. The ground further away had sunk down. The burly Kaiser stood in a quiet hall on the 98th floor with a sunken expression. He gazed sharply into the distance as he burned with fury. That was the direction of the wasteland continent inhabited by the 100 Races. 100 Races, you're getting bolder and bolder to act so brazenly around my Beast God Hall. If I weren't injured by origin energy and had recovered, just I myself would have been enough to flatten you, Kaiser growled as a heavy killing intent filled his voice. All the experts of the 100 Races had returned to the wasteland continent. The central war god hall levitated in the air and radiated with an earth-shaking presence. It had already entered battle mode, ready to defend against the large-scale invasions from the Tian Yuan continent and the Beast God continent. The Divine Hall was the pillar of support of the 100 Races as well as their treasure. It was an amalgamation of attack and defense, and its defense was shocking. It was passed down from ancient times and was far more powerful than any forbidden artifact. At the same time, all the experts returned to their own clans. All of their treasures were ready to be used. The dwarves had drawn their heaven's guard while the elves had awakened their elven god tree. All the various races were fully prepared to repel the attacks from the Beast God continent and Tian Yuan continent. The experts of the 100 Races had already made the appropriate preparations before the arrival of the experts from the two continents. Although they were not as strong as any two of them, they still possessed their heritage. They did not fear an invasion from the two continents in this current age where almost all saint emperors had vanished. The Heaven's Guard of the dwarves had been renowned in the ancient times. Back then, a single dwarven saint king resisted the encirclement of multiple people just as strong as him with the shield. Even saint emperors would struggle to break through such an encirclement. The elven god tree was extremely wondrous as well. It had already gained intelligence, having survived since ancient times. Its vast vitality had turned a portion of the wastelands into an oasis. It had always been the symbol of the elves, and its branches were supple enough to trap saint emperors even though it had no offensive capabilities. Its vitality was unending as well. It could not be killed off nor cut down. Even when smashed into pieces, it could regrow in an instant. The only thing was that it could not leave where it had been rooted. The other races also had their corresponding heritages and none of them could be underestimated. At the same time, the War God Hall used everything it had to scour the entire continent for the new war god. What they did not know was that the new war god had not been born on the wasteland continent but the Tian Yuan continent. Only the first war god had been born on the wasteland continent, which led to misunderstandings about where the new war god would be born. They assumed the new war god would be born on the wasteland continent. The Dragon Island was completely cut off from the world, so the matters of the Tian Yuan continent had not reached there. Jian Chen and He Yu remained by Tai Ta's side, watching over him and preventing any living corpses from interfering. Tai Ta bathed in a dense, golden light. He was like the sun in the sky, shining brightly. He dyed the entire place with a golden light as his vast battle intent filled the entire island. It possessed a supreme weight, as if it could crush the surrounding space. Some of the saint ruler living corpses were even pressed down to the ground by the power of the battle intent. Sounds that sounded like the roars of wild beasts rang out in the surroundings. Tai Ta's breakthroughs had caused too great of a disturbance, alarming all the living corpses on the island. Large groups of Saint King corpses rapidly flew over from all directions. They could endure the pressure of Tai Ta's battle intent. Swish! Swish! He Yu and Jian Che turned into a blur as they disappeared. They charged toward the Saint King corpses to engage in a slaughter, preventing them from approaching Tai Ta. He Yu was a mutated divine alligator. He was far more powerful than ordinary magical beasts and could rival beasts of antiquity. He was also at the great perfection of Saint King, so the strength he possessed was terrifying. His palms struck out time and time again, crushing a Saint King corpse wherever they landed. Jian Chen did not use the Emperor armament. Chaotic force rampaged within him as he used the advantage of the chaotic body as much as he could. He kicked and punched, launching all the living corpses beyond the 10-meter threshold. He used the powerful formations in the sky to slaughter the corpses, dealing with them in an effortless fashion. The deviant recovery of the living corpses would be enough to pain Jian Chen otherwise. Tai Ta seemed to have become a miniature sun as his presence continuously climbed. He had already reached the third heavenly layer of Saint King. Jian Chen and He Yu made their way over as they observed Tai Ta in interest. All they found was that Tai Ta was rather similar compared to before, except that the glow of his skin had become even more metallic. It was glossy, as if it was made from metal, while the imprint between Tai Ta's eyebrows had become clearer as well. However, the indent of the imprint gave people a feeling that it was incomplete, as if it lacked something. Tai Ta, how are you? Are you all right? Jian Chen asked out of concern as he stared at Tai Ta's teary face. Tai Ta dried his tears and quickly dismissed his feelings. He said, I'm fine. I just felt that Uncle Ergin's life was just too difficult. He fought for a better world for his citizens, but he died in battle in the end. Tai Ta's voice was filled with deep grief. Jian Chen gently sighed. He had no idea how to comfort Tai Ta right now. The matter was interconnected far too much. Not only did it involve the enmity between the 100 races and the magical beasts, it included the disagreements between the winged tiger god and the war god, yet in the present day, both of them had become his friends. He had no idea what to do. He worried the most over the possibility that all this enmity from the previous generation would be resolved by this current generation. Uncle Ergens fought for his clansmen, but his wish did not come true in the end. His final wish was for his citizens to find a good place to live. I will definitely completely Uncle's final wish, said Tai Ta. His eyes became determined. This was an oath he would never give up until he had achieved it. Jian Chen became even more worried with the oath Tai Ta made. His joy for Tai Ta's increase in strength had completely disappeared, as well as he asked himself inside. If the matter really does develop to the point where Tai Ta and Xiaobai end up fighting, what should I do? Tai Ta wanted to find a better place for his citizens, to complete Ergin's final wish. This meant that he would definitely go to war like Ergens and capture land. On the other hand, the white tiger was the god of the magical beasts. Although the saint emperors of the beast god continent had targeted it before, Jian Chen knew that the white tiger would become the new beast god sooner or later. In the future, Tai Ta might end up conflicting with the white tiger, or even pulling the Tian Yuan continent in as enemies. Sigh, I never thought that the droplet of blood would contain a part of Ergens' memories as well. Was it the right decision to bring Tai Ta here? Jian Chen asked himself inside. He suddenly felt some regret at that moment. He Yu remained calm and appeared to be indifferent. Although he was a magical beast, he had no attachments to the beast god continent. He did not care about what would happen between the beast god continent and 100 races at all. His greatest wish was to go with Rue Jin to find his vanished clansmen. Chapter 1109. The Saint's Fruit. Jian Chen sucked in a deep breath and no longer bothered with the troublesome problem. He only hoped that he had the power to stop the two of them if a situation like that really developed. He did not ask Tai Ta about the future. The world was in constant motion, so no one could decide what they would do in the future. Matters promised today might end up suddenly changing the next day. Jian Chen stood on a low mountain peak as he stared in the direction of the Lunastran pit for a while. He sighed, let's return. Due to Tai Ta's personality, he failed to notice the sliver of worry present on Jian Chen's face. He talked and laughed excitedly with Jian Chen as they made their way out. Jian Chen, my strength has increased a lot this time. Do you think I still need to be locked up in Mercenary City by Senior Tian Jian? Jian Chen, how powerful are the 10 protector clans? Is my current strength enough to match up against them? Once we get back, I'll visit home first. I haven't returned in many years. I miss my family. Tai Ta completely forgot about the sorrow and pain he felt for Ergen's death. It quickly dulled. He returned to how he usually behaved. Jian Chen, Tai Ta, and He Yu did not stick around Dragon Island. They appeared outside the independent space again. Jian Chen. A cold but feminine voice suddenly rang out. The sea goddess illusionary body suddenly appeared in empty space. Her face was hazy, as if it was covered by mist. It was impossible to see her appearance. I greet your majesty. Jian Chen immediately clasped his hands and bowed after being slightly surprised. I greet Senior. He Yu and Tai Ta dared not tarry behind. They also courteously bowed to the sea goddess. The sea goddess did not even glance at He Yu. Her gaze stopped on Tai Ta for a moment before returning to Jian Chen once more. She said, the Saint's Fruit of Death Nest is about to appear once more. This fruit is something that gathers the fortunes of the world and can assist people in reaching Saint Emperor. It grows over the course of 10,000 years, blooms over the course of 10,000 years, bears fruit over the course of 10,000 years, and ripens over the course of another 10,000 years. In total, 40,000 years gives birth to a single fruit, and it only exists for 3 months once matured. It will disappear after 3 months are up. This fruit is about to mature, so you can't miss it. What? The saint's fruit can allow people to reach Saint Emperor? There's actually such a wondrous piece of fruit in the world? All three of them became astounded as disbelief flooded their faces. They would never have believed such a thing existed if it were not for the sea goddess. The usefulness of the fruit sounded a little too exaggerated since it could allow people to reach Saint Emperor. He felt rather cold inside. He understood just how powerful peak Saint Emperors were inside. Fairy Hao Yu was a very good example. She could trap a group of Saint Kings with a single formation where even Hei Yu could not break free. The sea goddess herself is an expert of the origin realm. Even she is described as a powerful existence. Then this vengeful spirit must be a big deal. It must have been a peak Saint Emperor before it passed away, Hei Yu said with a deep voice. He was stern. The difference of strength between Saint Emperors was vast, like the difference between the first heavenly layer and great perfection of Saint King. Jian Chen, are you going to Death Nest? Hei Yu turned to Jian Chen after a period of silence. Jian Chen silently lowered his head as he thought about Grand Elder Tian Jian. Tian Jian had once helped him several times, showing great kindness to him. Now that he was running out of time, it was extremely difficult for him to reach Saint Emperor just by himself in this age. I'm going. I have to go. Jian Chen's gaze became determined at that moment. He would not exist if it were not for Tian Jian's assistance. I've been able to make my way up all because of Senior Tian Jian's secret and selfless help. Yet, I've never done a single thing for him. If I can help him this time, is it really such a big deal that I risk my life? Jian Chen clenched his fist and became determined. I'll come with you. I'd like to see this death nest filled with vengeful spirits. Hee, I've lived for quite some years, but I've never seen something like it before, laughed Hei Yu. Afterward, Jian Chen entered the artifact space and found Rui Jin and Hong Lian. He told them everything the sea goddess had said, without hiding any information. I never thought that there would actually be such a divine item like the saint's fruit that can take from the fortunes of nature. Mo Tianyun really is skillful. Rui Jin and Hong Lian became astounded as well once they learned about the saint's fruit. Disbelief flooded their faces. He worried for him from the bottom of his heart. Tai Ta shook his head and said, Jian Chen, a lot of powerful mysteries of war have appeared in my head. I feel like they are even more powerful than Saint Tier battle skills, and I have also obtained some powerful mysteries of war comprehended by Uncle Erjins as well as his experience. I no longer fear the Protector clans. Though, I do want to do to Death's Nest with you. I want to venture the world with you. Tai Ta was serious, his eyes were filled with a yearning. To travel the world with Jian Chen, that was the wish he wanted the most. He was not strong enough and would only drag Jian Chen down before, but now he possessed the strength, so he obviously would not forego the chance. Jian Chen thought about it. He knew that Tai Ta's current prowess in battle was probably no weaker than his own, and he also considered how Tai Ta had experienced too little due to his extreme growth. As a result, he agreed. All right then. Once I return from the sea realm, I'll bring you with me to Death's Nest. Tai Ta became excited. He foolishly smiled. Then I'll go home first. Jian Chen, remember to call me when you go to Death's Nest. We're very far away from Tian Yuan continent. I better ask Senior Hei Yu to construct a space gate for you, said Jian Chen. No need, I can return by myself, Tai Ta shrugged. He thanked Hei Yu for his help before yelling, Mysteries of war, void-shattering golden body. Tai Ta began to shine with a blinding golden light. He turned into a streak of golden light as he charged forward with lightning speed. Several hundred meters later, the space up ahead cracked open and a black hole appeared. Tai Ta charged through the hole and disappeared, still coated in a dense layer of golden light. What? He actually smashed through space with his body. He's moving through another region of space. Hei Yu became shocked as he uncontrollably spoke his thoughts. Jian Chen also became tongue-tied, unable to return to his senses even after a very long time. Tai Ta walked a different path of cultivation. He had no need to comprehend the mysteries of the world. He could not rip open space gates, but he had other methods that achieved the same results as space gates. Space gates need to be constructed in stable space, and they can't sustain any attacks after forming, or they'll collapse. Tai Ta's ability doesn't seem to have that limitation. He seems to be able to leave at will even when experts fight. This is much more powerful than space gates. Yu sighed in amazement. The abilities of the warring gods are actually so terrifying. Tai Ta's only at the 4th heavenly layer, yet he does not fear the protector clans anymore. Yet in ancient times, Ergens had surpassed Saint Emperor, but he was still slain by the winged tiger god. The winged tiger god really is unimaginably powerful. Jian Chen emotionally sighed inside. Afterward, Jian Chen made his way to the sea realm. She was extremely pretty and alluring, where her hair ran down her shoulders naturally, like a waterfall. It covered a portion of her face. Suddenly, the woman snapped open her eyes. An almost visible light shot from her eyes, disappearing with a flash. Her gaze was extremely bright, as if it contained stars that glimmered inside. Vaguely, it possessed an odd allure, able to enchant people. I understand. You can leave, Qing Yishuan commanded Hin. Her voice was cold and possessed no emotions at all. Yes, esteemed guest elder. An old voice rang out from outside and the old man quietly left. Soon afterward, an azure figure left the central divine hall. It moved extremely quickly, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. Jian Chen sat casually on the throne in the center of the hall. The various elders of the Turtle Clan formed 2 rows below him and reported on the recent developments of the Turtle Clan one by one. Ruler, ever since we received Elder Lan Jing, Xian, and Mocha's assistance, it has been smooth sailing in our attempts to retrieve our past crystal mines. We've recovered most of them while the remaining ones are large-scale mines of excellent quality. They produce an extremely great amount of grand quality crystal coins, and they are in the possession of a few large clans. These clans are extremely powerful. Not only do they have several 15th star Sea Soul warriors, they even have 16th star experts. One of the clan's ancestors is even closing in on the peak of the 16th star. He's an elder of the Sea Goddess Hall, and there's even rumors that he will become a Hall elder in the future. During the time that you were gone, we discussed with them several times for them to return to the mines that belong to us. However, we were declined every time, and a few small-scale conflicts even broke out. Elder Lan Jing, Xian, and Mocha's were injured. The elders of the Turtle Clan had reported the truth. Lan Jing, Xian, and Mocha's were the 3 disciplinary elders of the Heaven Spirit Hall that had chased down Jian Chen years ago. They were subdued by Jian Chen, and they now worked for Jian Chen. Which clan does that person who is close to becoming a Hall elder belong to? Jian Chen asked. He paid extremely great attention to that expert. Only Saint Kings at great perfection could take up the role of Hall elders, so it meant that he was approaching great perfection soon. He's the ancestor of the Tao family. An elder replied. Chapter 11:11. The Divine Realm, the Tao Family, Jian Chen murmured under his breath. A gleam of light flashed through his eyes. The Tao family was a large clan that wielded absolute power. They were very powerful. Suddenly, Jian Chen seemed to sense something. He looked to the outside of the hall and a sliver of surprise flashed through his eyes. One of the guards at the main entrance charged into the hall as if his bottom was on fire. He fell to his knees and hurriedly yelled, "Ruler, there's a woman who claims to be a guest elder of the Sea Goddess Hall and has charged in. We cannot stop her no matter how we try." As soon as he finished speaking, a hubbub rang out from outside. An azure-clothed female boldly stepped into the hall as several guards encircled her. A powerful presence radiated from her, preventing the surrounding guards from getting any closer to her. "How dare you act wildly in our Turtle Clan?" Several elders became enraged within the hall. They immediately stood up and went to stop the lady who had come in. The current Turtle Clan was no longer the same as the past. Not only did they have the protection of a ruler, they also had 3 16th star experts, which lead to the Saint Ruler elders becoming much braver. "It's not a problem. Let her in." Jian Chen raised his hand to calmly stop the angered elders. The elders immediately stopped and returned to their seats now that their ruler had spoken. Qing Yishuan possessed an imposing presence as she barged into the Turtle Clan all by herself. She made her way to the meeting hall of the clan, ignoring all the elders. She stared at Jian Chen, who sat at the very top, and coldly said, "You finally decided to appear after vanishing for so long." Jian Chen smiled faintly. He looked back at Qing Yishuan and said, "It's been a few years since I've last seen you, yet you still look the same, if not better. You've progressed to the 6th heavenly layer as well. Congratulations." Qing Yishuan remained neutral. "Jian Chen, I haven't come to find you to talk about the old days. I already know that your turtle clan is falling out with the Tao family. I've come this time because I want to work with your turtle clan. I am willing to assist your clan with taking back those old mines." All the elders' expressions drastically changed when they heard her offer. They immediately became excited. It would become much easier to recover crystal mines in the future if another 16th star expert joined them. Jian Chen did not waver at all. He asked, "Qing Yishuan, I am very curious to know exactly what the Tao family owns that attracts you so dearly. You've actually come to find me time and time again, and you're even willing to offend many great clans this time to deal with the Tao family." Qing Yishuan slightly hesitated. Afterward, she extended a finger and a transparent barrier immediately expanded, enveloping Jian Chen and her. The barrier could cut off sound. Obviously, Qing Yishuan did not want others to hear what she was going to say. "There's no problem with me telling you if you're so curious. The Tao family is in possession of a Saint-tier battle skill for humans. It was obtained by one of their ancestors on an island outside. If we can get this Saint-tier battle skill, we can comprehend it together." Qing Yishuan hid nothing and told the truth. A Saint-tier battle skill. Jian Chen's interest was immediately piqued. Saint-tier battle skills were the exact objects he needed. If the Flame mercenaries wanted to become truly powerful, they needed to have Saint-tier battle skills. "I heard that the Tao family is watched over by a powerful ancestor who's almost reached the great perfection of Saint King. If we work together, we still won't be his opponent even with all the experts of the Turtle Clan," Jian Chen said again. "You're talking about Tao Jingtian. His strength isn't as exaggerated as you have heard. He's only at the 8th heavenly layer right now. You have the Octaterra Divine Hall, so he can't threaten you. All you need to do is keep him busy," said Qing Yishuan. Jian Chen paused for a while before making up his mind. "I didn't want to take the Tao family on as enemies originally, but they're in possession of an excellent mine that once belonged to my turtle clan. We will end up clashing with the Tao family sooner or later, but now's not the time. Qing Yishuan, if you want to get a share of the Tao family's treasures, then stay in the turtle clan. Go with Tai Do and the others to defeat the relatively weaker clans who still have not returned our mines." Qing Yishuan hesitated slightly before saying, "All right, I agree to your conditions. However, I hope I do not have to wait for too long." Qing Yishuan temporarily stayed at the Turtle Clan, becoming one of their esteemed guests. With the addition of another powerful expert, the whole clan was in jubilation even though it was only temporary. Jian Chen stayed in the Turtle Clan for a day before leaving after handing over some matters. He headed toward one of the danger zones in the Sea Realm. The Divine Realm was an extremely well-known place in the Sea Realm. At the same time, it was also a zone of danger that could make people tremble in fear, because there were rumors that a 17th star emperor had once vanished in there, never appearing again. At the same time, there were many 15th and 16th star experts who had disappeared as well. No one knew the exact geography of the Divine Realm. It was extremely ancient, with a history even lengthier than the Sea Realm. It had already been formed before the Sea Realm even existed. The Divine Realm contained countless rare treasures and heavenly resources. The divine water of the world that was renowned throughout the entire Sea Realm appeared there. It was the only place where this special type of water could form. As a result, even though the Divine Realm was extraordinarily dangerous, it could not stop many adventurers of the Sea Realm from entering. Even though they knew that entering meant death, there were still many people who wanted to try their luck under the mentality that benefits came with risk. 100 kilometers away from the Divine Realm stood a medium-sized city. It was named Divine City because it provided special supplies to adventurers who were about to enter the Divine Realm. At the same time, it was where these adventurers gathered. There were all sorts of existences in Divine City. Not only were there blue-skinned members of the sea race in human form, there were even humans from the Tian Yuan continent and magical beasts from the Beast God continent. All three races were common there, and they rarely looked down upon each other. There were even cases where the three races worked together to form a group of adventurers. Jian Chen entered the city in tight robes, making him seem more experienced. He seemed just like an ordinary person as he mixed into the crowd. Supreme antidotal pills, a crucial need for the divine realm. They can detoxify various poisons. 10 high-quality crystal coins for 1. There aren't many left, so come buy some fast. Selling quaking thunders ranging from the 12th star to the 14th star. They can deal attacks that are equivalent from the 12th star to the 14th star. An absolute must for saving lives. There aren't many left. Various calls rang through the streets. Many different stands had been set up on both sides of the streets to sell items. There was a great variety of items present. Jian Chen stopped before a stand that sold quaking thunders. All he saw were a few fist-sized black orbs on the ground, which pulsed with a powerful water-attributed energy. Jian Chen picked one up to examine, understanding the secrets of it with a single glance. They were made from a special material that could store energy inside, able to deal a violent attack. They possessed the same uses as the 3 stones he had obtained from the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union before. The only difference between the two was quality. The stones could store energy from a Saint King at great perfection, while the quaking thunders before him could only store up to the 3rd heavenly layer of Saint Ruler. Warrior, why don't you buy a few quaking thunders? It's an absolute must whether it's for fighting enemies or saving your life. The owner of the stand began to explain the wonders and great uses of the quaking thunders. May I ask where the materials for making these quaking thunders comes from? Jian Chen asked as he examined the black orbs. It must be your first time in the divine city to not even know this. The materials come from the divine realm. They are obtained by killing the powerful vicious beasts that inhabit the realm, explained the owner. Jian Chen then asked the prices of the quaking thunders, but they were outrageous. The quaking thunder in his hand, the one that could only deal the strike of a 3rd heavenly layer Saint Ruler, actually cost 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen continued to stroll down the streets at ease. There were a lot of stands selling various items that even he had no idea what they were called or how they could be used. However, they were all extremely unique. He hoped to find materials for the azulite swords here. Jian Chen ended up with disappointment in the end. He had virtually went everywhere, but he found nothing. He did come across quite a few quaking thunders for sale, however. Jian Chen arrived in the center of the city and entered a large tavern. He learned about the divine realm from some adventurers who frequently ventured into it. The Turtle Clan was not in possession of many records in regards to the divine realm. They had suffered a few disasters in the past, losing many of their ancient records. This was why the amount of information they possessed was pitiful. I heard the Blue Sky adventurers entered the dangerous depths of the divine realm and returned successfully. All they lost were a few 12th star warriors. The captain of the Blue Sky adventurers is a 13th star expert. He's actually able to bring his members into the depths where even 15th star experts would die and return safely as well. It's a miracle. I've also heard that the group saw some divine water of the world from afar, but they were in no shape to take the extra step. As a result, they could only return helplessly. What a pity. Divine water of the world is extremely rare in the divine realm. Even 16th star experts won't necessarily come across it when they enter the depths. The Blue Sky adventurers are just too lucky. The Blue Sky adventurers has now become an unapproachable existence in the city. I heard that many powerful adventurers want to pull the group to their side, so they can learn where the water is located. I heard that the Blue Sky adventurers has already recruited 2 13th star experts and are ready to enter the depths once more. They want to retrieve the water. The adventurers in the tavern discussed the recent news with one another, and all of them talked about the Blue Sky adventurers. At this moment, a group of people in tight robes entered the tavern. The discussions immediately quietened down with their arrival. Look, they're the Blue Sky adventurers. The Blue Sky adventurers have actually appeared here. Do they really plan on entering the depths again? The people in the tavern discussed their arrival under their breaths. Chapter 11-12. The Blue Sky adventurers. Jian Chen heard their muffled discussions loud and clear since he sat nearby. He looked up at the group of people who had entered the tavern. There were 10 people in total, and they all wore tight robes, appearing extremely experienced. The person at the very front was a large man with big eyes and thick eyebrows as well as a full beard. 2 old men with peppered hair followed behind him. They were old, but their eyes shined with vigor. All three of them were saint rulers, 13th star experts in the sea realm. The 7 people that followed behind them were all 12th star experts, at the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master. The one at the very front is the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers. They only have 9 people in their group, yet 2 unknown old men have appeared. Are the rumors true? Has the Blue Sky Adventurers really recruited 2 13th star experts and are preparing to enter the depths of the divine realm again? Someone wondered below their breath. The Blue Sky Adventurers are actually all humans. Only one of the old men is a magical beast, Jian Chen mumbled inside. He could see through the group with a single glance. Another group of people walked in from outside. They all wore blue armor and all seemed rather impressive. They bore a shiny purple badge on their chests, and a single word had been sewn onto it in the language of the sea race, Lanshan. It's actually the people from the Lanshan clan. The Lanshan clan is one of the 3 great clans within the city. Have they come here because of the divine water of the world? The person at the front is the first young master, Lan Mo. His constitution was improved by heavenly resources when he was young, so his talent is extremely outstanding. He's reached the 13th star in just over 300 years. The group of people immediately made their way to the Blue Sky Adventurers. The first young master, Lan Mo, stared haughtily at the captain and said, Xueqi, our Lanshan clan wants to enter the depths of the divine realm this time. You should work with us. We can enter the divine realm together, and you can take 40% of everything we obtain. The rest will belong to us. The young master of the Lanshan clan is going too far. He's intentionally trying to pull the Blue Sky Adventurers to his side so that they could lead them to where the divine water of the world is, but they're only going to give up 40%. This is unreasonable. Too bad. Who let the Lanshan clan become too powerful? They control a whole third of the city, and the patriarch of their clan is a 14th star expert. There's not a lot of people in the city who are willing to offend them. It's rumored that the clan also has an ancestor who is over 4,000 years old. He's a 15th star expert and has already traveled outside for several decades. I wonder if that's true or not. A few people softly gossiped in the tavern. Some of them were dissatisfied with what the first young master of the Lanshan clan wanted to do, while others sighed over the power of the Lanshan clan. Anger appeared in the captain's eyes, but he hid it very quickly. He stood up and clasped his hands to Lan Mo. He said, It is a blessing for my Blue Sky Adventurers that young master Lan Mo has set his eyes on us. However, we have always moved independently, so I can only appreciate your kindness and turn down your offer. Xueqi, I have never invited a group of adventurers before. You are the first, but I never thought you'd actually turn down my kindness. Are you looking down on me? Lan Mo's voice became icy. Xueqi remained smiling. Young Master Lan Mo has misunderstood. I have no intentions of looking down on you. We are just used to moving independently. An armored guard walked up from behind Lan Mo. He said sharply to Xueqi, It's a blessing for you that young Master Lan Mo has invited you, so don't make the wrong choice. You must join us, or you won't be able to leave this tavern today. The atmosphere of the tavern immediately became nervous because of what the guard said. The people there stopped what they were doing and turned to Lan Mo and the Blue Sky Adventurers. The members of the Blue Sky Adventurers all paled. Only the 2 old men remained composed, as if nothing had happened at all. Xueqi's face also sank. Since the situation had already developed to such a point, he would only appear docile if he continued to let them get their way. He coldly said, Young Master Lan Mo, my group may be far weaker than your clan, but we do not fear you. If you want to do things forcefully, we can try it out and see just who won't be leaving the tavern today. The young master coldly sneered as he gazed past the 2 old men. He said, Xueqi, do you really think that you can go up against my clan now that you've recruited 2 13th star experts? You overestimate yourself. At the very least, your clan cannot do anything to us before your ancestor returns. Though your ancestor seems to have been gone for several decades already, Xueqi also became unyielding. He felt no fear. Lan Mo's face sank and killing intent flickered in his eyes. As the first young master of one of the 3 great clans in the city, his status was extremely great. He had never been treated so rudely by a mere group of adventurers. He did not worry even though they possessed 13th star experts. The young master coldly glanced over Xueqi and the 2 old men. Just as he was about to say something, mocking laughter rang in from outside. I never thought that the renowned young master Lan Mo would bully a group of adventurers. Unbelievable. Though, the Blue Sky Adventurers isn't any small group of adventurers. They're not an existence that you can bully. A white-robed young man who seemed to be in his 20s walked in from outside. He gave Lan Mo a look filled with ridicule as a few middle-aged men followed him. Each and every one of them radiated with a bold presence. And who did I think it was? So it's the first young master of the Karunk clan, Kuda, Lan Mo sneered. The Karunk clan possessed a similar status in the Divine City as his Lanshan clan. They, too, were one of the three great clans. Kuda paid no attention to Lan Mo. He arrived at Zhou Chuyun's side and clasped his hands. Captain Zhou Chuyun, my Karunk clan currently is allied with the Xueqi clan. We are about to venture into the depths of the divine realm again. We sincerely invite Captain Zhou Chuyun to join us. I just knew that your Karunk clan had come with similar intentions as me. Whatever, I'll sit here and watch how you pull the Blue Sky Adventurers to your side. Though I've heard that the large clans from Diork City have already set off for the divine realm, for the divine water of the world as well, sneered Lan Mo afterward. He looked around the tavern and found that all the tables had been taken. Young master, allow me to find you a spot. A guard behind young master Lan Mo stepped forward. He looked around with his sharp gaze, and in the end, his gaze landed on Jian Chen who sat by himself. Afterward, he walked to the table and loomed over Jian Chen. Brat, this table is being used by young master Lan Mo. Leave immediately. Don't waste the young master's time. All the people in the tavern sat in groups, and they were all burly, radiating with powerful presences. Only Jian Chen seemed extremely ordinary, and he seemed relatively slender in the eyes of the guard. As a result, he seemed like the person that was easiest to abuse. Young master Lan Mo sure is haughty to forcefully take my spot. It's been quite a while since this has last happened. You must be sick of living, Jian Chen said without even raising his head. He dismissed Lan Mo's group of people as if they were nothing. All the people in the tavern became shocked by what Jian Chen had said. Lan Mo was the first young master of the Lanshan clan, one of the three great clans in Divine City. He was illustrious in status and also a 13th star expert. There was actually someone who described him as sick of living, to everyone's disbelief. Virtually, at the same time, everyone in the tavern looked at Jian Chen. However, they found him to be extremely ordinary no matter how they observed him. He did not seem like a powerful expert at all. Who is he to speak to young master Lan Mo like that? He can't be a peak-level expert who keeps a low profile, right? That person's dead for sure for insulting young master Lan Mo. I'm confident that he won't be able to make his way out of here. Similar thoughts cropped up in many people's heads. Lan Mo's face sank. The guard immediately bellowed out. How dare you speak to the young master like that? Looks like you're the one sick of living. Chapter 11:13. King Juba. So what if he was killed? He completely deserved it for attacking me, Jian Chen said with an extremely indifferent tone. You? Lan Mo pointed at Jian Chen as he became speechless with anger. In so many years, there had never been someone who dared to act so arrogantly in front of him. Even the first young masters of the other two clans had never acted so mercilessly. How dare you? A guard bellowed from behind Lan Mo. Another 6 people rushed forward at the same time, attacking Jian Chen with their own weapons. The 6 of them were all at the peak of Heaven Saint Master, much stronger than the guard before. Jian Chen flicked a finger and 6 strands of sword chi shot out from the tip of his finger. Before they could even approach Jian Chen's table, their foreheads exploded, and they collapsed in their own blood. In the blink of an eye, 7 guards had been killed by Jian Chen. This deeply shocked everyone in the tavern. Jian Chen did not worry about celestial decay since that only punished people who conducted massacres, like fiends who killed hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. It was to prevent people at Saint Ruler and beyond from recklessly fighting in packed cities, which would lead to mass destruction. He did not have to worry about just killing a few people. Lan Mo had become stunned by Jian Chen's vicious methods, and even the people of the Karunk clan and the Blue Sky Adventurers were the same. This was the first time someone had ever dared to kill Lan Mo's guards in the city right in front of him. Who is that person? Not only does he look down on Lan Mo, he has even killed several guards at the peak of the 12th star with a single flick of his finger. He must be terrifyingly powerful, at least at the 13th star, maybe even the 14th star, Kuda contemplated inside as he became a little fearful. Ha 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 ha, what courage! You have my admiration. May I inquire your name? Zhou Chuyun clasped his hands to Jian Chen from a table to the side. He was extremely bold. Yang Yutian. Jian Chen replied. Esteemed warrior Yang Yutian, you must be interested in visiting the divine realm since you have appeared in this city. I was wondering if you would like to come with us. The Blue Sky adventurers may not be very powerful, but we still have 3 13th star experts. If we face any danger, there'll be a better chance of surviving. Zhou Chuyun intentionally tried to pull Jian Chen to his side. He would be of great help. Lan Mo paled in anger. Zhou Chuyun actually attempted to pull the murderer of his guards without any fear of the consequences. Clearly, he was going up against the Lan Shan clan. Jian Chen hesitated. He did not agree immediately and instead asked, Zhou Chuyun, may I ask how much you know about the divine realm? I've been here for more than 200 years. I've entered the divine realm countless times. Its tentacles were all several hundred meters long, and they danced wildly in the air. It seemed like a demon brandishing its fangs. It's the master of the bottomless abyss, King Ju Ba. He's never appeared in Divine City, right? So why has he suddenly come? King Ju Ba's reached the peak of the 14th star long ago, and he's only a step away from the 15th star. It's said that he has been in seclusion for 100 years ago. He has suddenly appeared now, so has he already broken through and reached the 15th star? It's said that King Ju Ba can only assume a human form after he reaches the 15th star due to natural limitations. He's still in his original form, so he hasn't reached the 15th star by the looks of things. Don't tell me he's come for the divine water of the world as well, that he wants to obtain the water that's appeared in the depths of the divine realm and reach the 15th star using it. The people in the streets immediately broke into a hubbub with the octopus arrival. Although he was only at the peak of the 14th star, he was one of the few experts in the region. He was extremely well known, and even the patriarchs of the 3 great clans needed to show him some respect. Who is the captain of the Blue Sky Adventurers? Step forward for me. A heavy voice boomed out. It was deafening, and it throughout the city. Ju Ba seemed like he was looking for someone in the city, but he just happened to land outside the tavern Zhou Chuyun was in. All the people of the Blue Sky Adventurers changed in expression. Ju Ba was someone who held supreme power in the region. He was extremely powerful. Barely anyone at the same level at him who could rival him. Only 15th star experts could keep him at bay. Zhou Chuyun reluctantly stepped forward. He said, I am Zhou Chuyun. May I ask if there is anything you want from me? Take me to the depths of the divine realm to find the divine water of the world you've discovered. Ju Ba's voice boomed out. Afterward, he smashed through the roof of the tavern. A thick black tentacle fell down from the sky, quickly shooting toward Zhou Chuyun. King Ju Ba, what are you trying to do? Zhou Chuyun cried out. Saint force surged from his body as he quickly dodged. However, the tentacle was extremely agile. It closely followed Zhou Chuyun before wrapping tightly around his waist. The powerful grip almost snapped Zhou Chuyun's back. Zhou Chuyun roared and forcefully swung at the tentacle with his saint weapon. However, he failed to even scratch the tentacle. Father! The only female in the Blue Sky Adventurers involuntarily called out. She was panicking. At the same time, the 2 experts recruited by Zhou Chuyun began to move. A 5-meter-long spear appeared in the hands of the old man from the sea race. He stabbed at the thick tentacle with lightning-like speed. The magical beast's hands instantly turned into a pair of huge, terrifying claws. Chapter 11:14. Entering the divine realm, the entire street fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared at the Ju Ba's 18 tentacles with wide eyes as their hearts churned. In the region of the divine city, Ju Ba was a well-renowned expert. He was known to be invincible within his own level of cultivation, and had never suffered a defeat. Only the ancestors of the 3 great clans, who had not appeared for over 100 years, could keep him at bay, yet someone had actually easily severed his 18 tentacles in Divine City, such that he could not even fight back. Everyone struggled to believe this outcome. Are my eyes wrong? Someone's actually chased away King Ju Ba, forcing him to leave behind his 18 tentacles to flee. He didn't even throw down a threat. Just who is this expert? Even the renowned King Ju Ba isn't his opponent. Isn't that person's strength a little too terrifying? The person who severed the 18 tentacles must be a 15th star expert. Only 15th star experts have the power to do something like that in the world. An esteemed 15th star experts has come to our city. The people in the streets only returned to their senses after quite a long time. An uproar immediately erupted and many people became emotional. 15th star experts were not common in the sea realm since most of them would be in seclusion. Rarely would they ever come outside. The tavern remained silent. Everyone stared at Jian Chen, who sat by himself, in fright along with some unconcealable fear and respect. The two experts that had been recruited by the Blue Sky adventurers both became rather pale. When Jian Chen had first joined them, the two of them had spoken in a fashion where they victimized Jian Chen. Now that Jian Chen had displayed his supreme strength, they immediately became utterly frightened. The magical beast, who had gone out of his way to provoke Jian Chen, was affected in particular. He was filled with regret. If he had known that Jian Chen was this strong, he would have never said anything like that before, even if he was 100 times bolder. The magical beast hesitated slightly before reluctantly arriving by Jian Chen's side with unease. He said in a deep voice, "Esteemed Senior Yang Yuqian, I'd like to take back what I said before and apologize to you. I hope you can be the bigger man and forgive my rudeness from before." The magical beast was filled with sincerity. His apology came from the bottom of his heart. He understood the consequences of offending a 15th star expert very well. Jian Chen glanced at him. "You sure are smart. I just wanted to deal with you properly before, yet you've come to apologize yourself. Whatever, since you knew what to do, just punish yourself by slapping your face and then leave immediately. I'll let you off with that. I thank Senior Yang Yuqian's kindness." The magical beast felt like he had just been granted a pardon. They were not powerful, so they were all dealt with by Zhou Lin and the Heaven Saint Masters. Suddenly, an odd beast's roar rang out. 3 crab-like feral beasts appeared before everyone. They were all 10 meters wide and possessed long tails. Their shells all possessed a 5-meter-long spike as they scurried over horizontally. They're 12th star feral beasts. This is where our job starts. Zhou Lin happily called out. The 7 other Heaven Saint Masters charged up to the 3 beasts in unison, becoming embroiled in a great battle soon. Zhou Chuyun gently sighed as he watched the 8 people fight the 3 beasts. We were originally disciples of a medium-sized sect beyond the sea realm. Other than Zhou Lin, the 7 were elite disciples. Afterward, an enemy of our sect master came knocking and wiped out the entire sect. Everyone, over 5,000 people, was killed, including the sect master and several great elders. During that period of time, I just happened to be training on another island with the 7 of them, which was why we avoided the disaster. We came to the sea realm after that, but Zhou Lin's mother had already died in the sect. Zhou Chuyun's eyes became filled with pain. He could not bear to recall the past. It was filled with very painful memories. His heart would ache every time the past crossed his mind. We stayed in the sea realm for over 300 years, always training in the divine realm. We used the items we obtained here to exchange for crystal coins so we could work hard on cultivation. After the past 300 years, I reached Saint Ruler while the others went from Earth Saint Master to the 6th cycle of Heaven Saint Master. They're now stuck at the bottleneck of Saint Ruler. My greatest wish is that once my strength reaches a certain level, I want to go take revenge for my wife. I know this is almost impossible, but I have always been working in that direction. Zhou Chuyun gazed at the horizon as determination filled his eyes. Jian Chen said nothing, listening quietly to Zhou Chuyun's story. He was not moved at all since stories similar to Zhou Chuyun's had already become innumerable on the Tian Yuan continent. There was no principle that those who adventured would not get hurt. At this moment, Zhou Lin and the 7 others killed off the 3 feral beasts. They returned to Zhou Chuyun's side dejected. They said, "What a pity. There are no thunderstones." Thunderstones were the material for creating quaking thunders. They appeared within the feral beasts that inhabited the divine realm, but they would not appear in every single one of them. Once filled with energy, the thunderstones would become quaking thunders. The group of them continued on, But the sky began to darken not much later. Loud, deep rumbles of thunder rang in the distance. Odd, why would there be thunder here? Does it mean it's going to rain? Jian Chen stared at the sky out of curiosity. Chapter 11:15. Terrifying rain, god damn it. We sure are unlucky this time. A change of weather in the outskirts of the divine realm is rare even across a whole decade. I never thought we'd come across one as soon as we came in. It'll be troublesome now. Zhou Chuyun's complexion became extremely horrible while the 8 Heaven Saint Masters behind him became pale white as well. Father, we're slowing you down. Why don't you go first? Don't worry about us, Zhou Lin pleaded. Despair filled her eyes. They were currently too far from the mountains, so they would definitely not make it by the time that rain fell. No, I will never abandon you, Zhou Chuyun firmly promised. However, the gaze of Lu Jun beside him began to flicker. He became hesitant, wanting to move faster by himself. However, he hesitated after glancing past Jian Chen. Sirs, the situation is extremely urgent right now. It may be very difficult for me to accompany the two of you to the very end. You two go first, don't worry about the two of us. Zhou Chuyun spoke to Jian Chen and Li Jin before turning to Zhou Lin. He said with a deep voice, Linner, hold hands with each other. I'll hurry along with you, so I hope we can arrive at a safe destination before the storm begins. Li Jin said nothing. He continued to glance at Jian Chen. He had a 15th star expert beside him, so it would always be much safer if they traveled together compared to traveling alone. Zhou Chuyun, you definitely won't be able to make it somewhere safe before the storm arrives if you hurry along with your strength. You should let me carry you, Jian Chen replied. Afterward, he casually waved his hand and an invisible force surrounded Zhou Lin and the other 7 Heaven Saint Masters. After that, he grabbed Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun by the hand, using the illusory flash to hurry along as a blur. He shot into the distance as a streak of light, moving extremely quick. Jian Chen did not want to use the saint artifact here. The divine realm was dangerous, but it could not threaten them as long as they were a little cautious. This was why he wanted to travel through the place purely using his own strength. The illusory flash was an extremely profound and mysterious movement battle skill. It was a technique that Jian Chen used often. After using it so often and constantly comprehending it through the years, Jian Chen's grasp of the illusory flash had expanded to become even greater than before. His speed was several times faster than used to be. Rumble. A deafening constantly sound rang out as lighting continuously fell. It descended upon a large region of several thousand meters across, filling it with a blinding light. The force was shocking. Jian Chen shot through the flat plains with Zhou Chuyun and the others, carefully keeping guard against the lightning. No one knew where the lightning would fall the next moment, so they were close to being struck many times. They basically traveled as if they skimmed past the lightning, causing the Heaven Saint Masters to pale in fright. Large droplets of rain fell from the sky. The rain was no ordinary rain. It could pass through all defenses formed from energy and eat away everything. If it fell on a person, it could burn a huge hole through them. At that moment, everyone pulled out a huge inch-thick shield from their space rings and held it above them, stopping the rain from landing on them. The tough shield actually shrank at a visible rate. The refined steel was being eaten away by the rain, and the shield would give away soon. The rain's getting heavier and heavier. Once it becomes a storm, our shields will dissolve in an instant, Zhou Chuyun said with a hoarse voice. Their shields could only protect them for a moment and were not enough to carry them through the storm. Jian Chen remained silent, pushing the illusory flash to its utmost limits. He traveled as fast as he could, and finally, a group of mountains appeared in his vision after crossing the plains. The rain became heavier and heavier and was coupled with the continuous rumbling of thunder. The sky dimmed, and the shield above Zhou Chuyun dissolved faster and faster. Everyone was already on their third shield. Roar! Roar! Beasts howled from the distance. 2 huge feral beasts radiated with a bold presence as they charged toward Jian Chen through the rain. The special rain could not harm them at all. However, Jian Chen's speed was incomparable to these feral beasts that lacked a conscience. He passed by them very soon. With a howl of pain, the shield above Li Jin had completely dissolved. Some rain landed on him, immediately eating away his clothes. Several finger-sized holes had already been burned into him. He could not resist it even with his strength and toughness as a saint ruler. Painful howls and muffled grunts constantly rang out. The other people were all struck by the rain and their bodies immediately began to dissolve. Even Jian Chen's chest was hit by some rain, burning a few small holes into his clothes. They could not harm his chaotic body, but they did make him feel a piercing pain. Just what is this rain to be so terrifying? Jian Chen was surprised inside. Suddenly, Jian Chen's face changed. He raised his head to the sky and saw soybean-sized water droplets enveloping an entire region. They filled the sky and fell. It really was raining cats and dogs, like a waterfall from heaven. We're done for. The acidity of the rain is even greater. It can melt through a shield instantly now. There's nothing we can use to block it. Zhou Lin became despaired. Jian Chen was serious. He stared ahead fixedly. He had already caught sight of a cave positioned on the approaching mountains. The terrifying rain continued to fall. Once drenched by the rain, all of them would lose several layers of skin if they did not die. Jian Chen was getting closer and closer to the cave right now. Every single moment counted. Whoosh! Finally, Jian Chen shot into the cave with the group at a crucial moment with a wild gust of wind. Almost the instant he disappeared into the cave, the terrifying rain began to pour. The sky was filled with droplets that struck the ground, erupting with a great pitter-patter. So close! Zhou Lin patted her chest to calm herself down. She looked outside the cave with lingering fear. She knew exactly how terrifying the rain was, so what she just experienced was like being pulled back from death's jaws. The next moment, she paled. Agony crossed her face. She had been injured in several places, all due to the splashes that came from the drop's rain. Everyone else suffered injuries on different levels as well. The dim light of fire radiated in the depths of the cave. With the scuffling of steps, 3 middle-aged men emerged, looking at Jian Chen and the others with hostility. Zhou Chuyun and the others became stunned, probably because they never thought that there would actually be other people present. Only Jian Chen remained cold and composed, clearly uncaring. Warriors, we arduously carved out this cave. It sure is easy for you coming to the cave we carved out after much difficulty. Isn't that a little too much? One of the middle-aged men said with a deep voice. Jian Chen glanced over the walls of the cave. From the marks, he could tell that the cave had existed for a very long time. It was not newly dug. As someone experienced, Zhou Chuyun could obviously tell with a single glance that the cave had not been carved out recently. He clasped his hands. Warriors, you should know about the situation outside very well. We had no other choice either, so please forgive us if we have disturbed you. If you want to seek refuge here, hand up a 14th star thunderstone each, or please leave immediately, one of the middle-aged men coldly replied. 14th star thunderstones were used to make 14th star quaking thunders. They only had a chance of appearing in the bodies of feral beasts that were at the same level. Do you really think that 14th star quaking thunders are that easy to obtain? Aren't you asking for too much? Zhou Chuyun's face sank. If you're not going to cough up, then piss off immediately, said a middle-aged man. His gaze was extremely sharp, as if he wanted to start fighting as soon as any disagreement happened. With a flash, Jian Chen suddenly appeared before the middle-aged man who arrogantly spoke. Before he could even react, Jian Chen grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. He tossed him outside without any hesitation. Ugh! It was already pouring outside, so the man was doused by the special and terrifying rain in an instant. Coupled with a chilling shriek, he dissolved at a visible rate. It only took a few seconds for him to completely disappear. All that was left on the ground was a puddle of blood that mixed with the rain. Why, you've actually killed Di Fei. The 2 other men changed in complexion. They looked at Jian Chen in fury and shock before running toward the depths of the cave at the same time. Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters all looked at Jian Chen in admiration. Zhou Lin had even arrived beside him, now hugging an arm of his. Her eyes twinkled like stars as she said, Senior Yang Yutian, you're just too awesome and too cool. You're my idol. Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun both looked at Jian Chen in admiration. The 3 middle-aged men were not powerful, but they were clearly supported by some powerful organization since they dared to cause trouble. However, Jian Chen had just tossed one of them out of the cave without any hesitation and without any consideration for the people supporting him, making him die an untimely death. Only a 15-star expert could do something so decisively. Let's go in and see if there's any other people here, Jian Chen suggested before walking in first. The cave was not deep. Jian Chen arrived at the end very soon. A bonfire crackled on the ground and 4 old men sat in the surroundings with closed eyes. The 2 middle-aged men who had just fled back here sneered at Jian Chen as they hid before the 4 old men. Chapter 11:16. Mountains of the Sleeping Dragon, Seniors. He was the one who killed Di Fu. He wants to take the cave for himself and try chase the 4 of you out. He's just too brazen and arrogant, so please kill this person. The other middle-aged man righteously said as he pointed at Jian Chen. Seniors, it's currently raining with devastating drops outside. That arrogant person wants to forcefully take over the cave and chase us out. He clearly holds hostile intent toward us, so we can't allow him to stay here, the other middle-aged man added. He twisted the truth and spun lies. Jian Chen coldly stared at the 2 men. He said, having people like you alive within this world is unnecessary. Death is what you will rest with in the end, so let me send you on your way personally, just in case you harm even more people. Jian Chen extended a finger and 2 azulate sword chi shot out. They disappeared through the foreheads of the 2 men, wiping out their souls on the spot. They could not resist at all. Zhou Chuyun and the others also arrived at the dead end, and they just happened to see what happened. They were immediately stunned, witnessing Jian Chen's ruthless methods once again. Jian Chen killed without any hesitation. The 4 old men around the fire all opened their eyes and looked at Jian Chen. Their gazes were filled with cold intent and a certain sharpness. Their gazes seemed to solidify in that instant, sharp like swords. They seemed to possess the power to puncture rocks. Sir, aren't you a little too heavy-handed? One of the old men asked with a deep voice. People like that deserve it. They are unnecessary in this world, Jian Chen said, before taking firm strides toward the 4 old men. A cold light flashed through the old men's eyes as their muscles tightened. Vast amounts of energy violently flowed within them. They were secretly making preparations for battle at any moment. However, Jian Chen did not move toward them. He calmly walked between the 4 men with composed steps, arriving near the 2 middle-aged men who had collapsed in their own blood. He kicked them both to where Zhou Chuyun and the others were and said, "Toss the 2 of them out of this cave." "All right." Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun gave a straightforward response. Without hesitating, the 2 of them grabbed the corpses and carried them outside. "Sir, you sure are arrogant. You need to understand that there are countless experts in the world, always someone who is stronger. You are still not invincible." One of the old men spoke with a hoarse voice. His complexion was very ugly. The 4 of them did not stop Jian Chen. They all felt somewhat fearful of him. "I am indeed not invincible, but just me is enough to deal with all of you." Jian Chen glanced past the 4 old men, perhaps intentionally, and the sliver of a threat flashed through his eyes. "Sir, do you want to chase the 4 of us out?" The 4 old men's complexions were very ugly. However, they remained seated around the fire. "Not necessarily. I am not an unreasonable person. As long as you don't come looking for trouble with me, I will not come looking for trouble with you," Jian Chen replied before sitting down on a rock by himself. He closed his eyes to rest. The 4 old men stared at Jian Chen for a while. They did not say anything and then closed their eyes as well. They did not pay any attention to the other people in the cave. After dealing with the 2 corpses, Zhou Chuyun and Lu Jun carefully lead the Blue Sky adventurers around the 4 old men. They gently arrived behind Jian Chen and pulled out recovery pills from their space rings. They made extremely gentle movements, afraid of disturbing the 4 old men. They knew that the old men were extremely powerful and not people they could deal with. This was because the powerful presence that radiated from the 4 of them was enough to make them feel fear. If Jian Chen were not present, they probably would not even have the right to enter the cave. The rain continued for 3 days before stopping. Jian Chen's group stayed in the cave for 3 days as a result. During that time, Jian Chen continued his comprehension of the illusory flash and the great divination technique. He gained an even better grasp of the illusory flash, but he remained at the same level as before with the great divination technique. He had obtained nothing. 3 days later, Jian Chen and the Blue Sky adventurers left the cave. The 4 old men chose to leave at the same time. They did not say anything to Jian Chen and chose a different direction, separating with Jian Chen. Without traveling for long, a great beast roar rang out. A feral, 30-meter-long tiger-like beast lunged at the Blue Sky adventurers. Its bloody eyes were filled with hunger, treating Jian Chen's group as prey. It's a 13th star feral beast. Zhou Lin and the others back off, Zhou Chuyun ordered with a deep voice. He sternly drew his saint weapon and charged up, fighting off the feral beast. Lu Jun did not sit around either. He assisted Zhou Chuyun before slaying the beast in the end. They found a fist-sized stone within the beast's corpse. Thunderstone. There's actually a thunderstone. It's a 13th star thunderstone. Zhou Chuyun excitedly picked up the thunderstone. If it was handed to a 13th star expert and filled with energy, it would be worth quite a few grand quality crystal coins. Everyone in the group was clearly excited by the harvest. Zhou Lin and others all praised their luck. After that, they continued on their way, heading for the depths of the divine realm. No matter how powerful the feral beasts they came across, they were all slain, but they found an extremely low number of thunderstones. A thunderstone would not appear in every feral beast and were vastly different from monster cores in magical beasts. Jian Chen helped out during that period of time as well. He could shoot out azulate sword chi with a flick of his finger, killing off several 14th star feral beasts. There were plenty of beasts at the peak of the 14th star as well, but there was not a single thunderstone found, much to the Blue Sky adventurers' dismay. Jian Chen and the other arrived at a boundless plain of seagrass. The grass there had already survived for countless years, reaching the height of trees. It could not even be described as a plain anymore but as an ancient forest formed from grass. Danger lurked in the grass. Poisonous insects and beasts moved elusively, appearing silently at any moment and deal a life-threatening attack, so anyone who entered was in danger at all times. The place was filled with marshes as well. If someone fell into one, a force from the marsh would suck the person down. Even Heaven Saint Masters were guaranteed to die once they fell in. These were not the only dangers in the seagrass. The greatest risk was that quite a few of the seagrass had gained consciousness. Although they were unable to think, they could form huge mouths and attack passing prey, catching them off guard. Once trapped in the huge mouths formed by the grass, the prey's energy would rapidly be absorbed, allowing the grass to become even more powerful. The flesh and blood would become nutrient for the plants after being devoured. Even saint rulers would struggle to survive once caught. The people of the Blue Sky adventurers really were extremely experienced. As they made their way through the grass, they did come across many dangers, but they had all discovered them beforehand due to their experience. They managed to avoid them, so the journey was more frightening than dangerous. Half a day later, they passed through the grass. A group of mountains appeared up ahead, and from afar, they seemed like a huge dragon laying on the ground, blocking the path forward. Afar, a group that ranged into the 30s made their way toward Jian Chen and the others. They were not weak. There were roughly 10 saint rulers while the others were all Heaven Saint Masters. These are the mountains of the Sleeping Dragon, the largest mountain range of the Divine Realm. It splits the Divine Realm in two, and past the mountains is the depths of the Divine Realm, Zhou Chuyun explained to Jian Chen. His face was filled with exhaustion, which then became filled with caution after seeing the group of people making their way over. Lu Jun and the other members had also discovered the large group. They all secretly made preparations. Killing and looting could happen anywhere in the Divine Realm. Only Jian Chen remained staring at the mountain range up ahead. His gaze was profound, constantly glancing at various locations of the mountains. He could feel the presences of very powerful beasts in there. Warriors, may I ask if you plan on entering the depths of the Divine Realm? Behind them, a huge beast lay in a pile of rocks. Its bright red blood was scattered across the ground. A 15th star beast might not have been invincible among people of the 15th star, but it was still extremely powerful. However, it had been beheaded by a single stroke from Jian Chen, dying after roaring in fear. Killing a 15th star feral beast with a single stroke was something Zhou Chuyun and the others had never even imagined. Never would they have thought that they would personally witness something like that. They became extremely shocked, as if they were living in a dream. Jian Chen wielded his bloody emperor armament up ahead as he carved out a path, steadily but firmly. He did not want to waste too much time here, wanting to pass through the mountain range in the shortest amount of time. As a result, he finished all of the beasts he came across as fast as he could. There were many beasts that lived in the mountains. Most of them were of the 15th star. Although they lacked the ability to think, they seemed to have gained a low level of intelligence after reaching such a level of strength. They would become rulers of their own territory. Jian Chen advanced through the territory of many powerful beasts. He constantly fought as the power of the emperor armament erupted from time to time. He paved a path of blood. In just half a day, Jian Chen had killed 5 15th star beasts and more than 10 14th star beasts. He obtained 2 15th star thunderstones and several 14th star thunderstones, causing Zhou Lin and the other Heaven Saint Masters to grow envious. Jian Chen only kept the 2 15th star thunderstones, throwing the others to Zhou Chuyun. Zhou Chuyun became very excited. 14th star thunderstones were a great fortune to Zhou Chuyun and the others, but they were useless to Jian Chen. Only 15th star thunderstones piqued his interest. On that day, the divine realm was very noisy. Roars of beasts constantly reverberated across the mountains, alarming countless adventurers in the divine realm. The roars caused quite a large disturbance and various discussions could be heard everywhere. Some people were saying that a king beast had been born in the mountains. It possessed a terrifying strength and was currently engaging in battles everywhere to expand its territory. There were also others who said that a terrifyingly powerful person had ventured into the mountain range, which shocked many adventurers. Below the mountains, a large group of adventurers currently moved by foot. Their complexions were very horrible, glancing back from time to time. They were filled with shock and doubt. They could hear the great beast roars from several hundred kilometers away, which caused them to be filled with shock and an uneasiness. They knew that a king beast had not been born, rather a powerful adventurer had entered the mountains. This is impossible. He's actually still alive. The roars are filled with pain and fear. They sound so miserable. These are roars of despair right before death. Was that ordinary-looking young man a 15th star expert? No, it's likely he was a 16th star expert. There have been many roars, so he's roughly killed 20 beasts. There are 15th star ones among them. People carefully analyzed the roars from the ground. They were utterly shocked. They had never thought that such a powerful expert had just brushed past them. The people who had spoken scornful remarks toward Jian Chen and the others were feeling the effects in particular. They were completely unsettled and filled with regret. At the same time, 9 black-robed men of various ages entered Divine City as they rode feral beasts. The patriarch of the Lanshan clan personally came to welcome them, politely inviting them into his clan. The patriarch of the Lanshan clan lowered himself as he greeted the esteemed guests in an extravagant hall within the Lanshan clan. Experts of Diorc City, welcome to my Lanshan clan. You must have come for the divine water of the world, said the patriarch. Correct. We have indeed come for the divine water. Patriarch, please tell us all the details regarding the matter, a middle-aged man replied indifferently. Only the captain of a group of adventurers called the Blue Sky Adventurers knows the location of the divine water. However, they've recruited a few experts and have already entered the divine realm, said the patriarch. The 9 people from Diorc City immediately frowned when they heard that. I've planted a tracking imprint onto a member of the adventurers. I am willing to lead the way for you all. Lan Mo walked in from outside and said to the black-robed people, "You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."